The glow from Leo's triple monitor setup painted his cramped studio apartment in shifting hues of neon blue and crimson. On the center screen, his character, a heavily armored warrior, stood frozen mid-swing as the chat scrolled lazily to the right. Viewer count, 47. Not terrible for a Tuesday night, but a far cry from the thousands he'd pulled during his brief stint as a rising star 2 years ago. "Come on, folks," Leo said into his headset mic, forcing cheer into his voice. "One more boss clear and we hit affiliate goals for the month. Anyone feeling generous with the subs?" His reflection in the darkened monitor showed a man in his late 20s with tired eyes and 3 days of stubble. The faded Gamer Life t-shirt hung loose on his frame. He'd lost weight since the streaming grind became less about passion and more about paying rent. A half-empty energy drink can sat beside his keyboard, condensation forming a ring on the wooden desk. Outside, the usual city sounds filtered through his third-floor window, distant sirens, the rumble of late-night traffic, someone shouting in the alley below. Normal. Mundane. The kind of background noise he'd learned to tune out during 8-hour streams. Then the world glitched. It started with his stream overlay. The donation alert graphic, a pixelated explosion he'd coded himself, stuttered, fragmented into geometric shapes, then reassembled into something alien. Where there had been simple text reading, "Latest donation," now shimmering symbols appeared, shifting like liquid mercury. Leo blinked, thinking his tired eyes were playing tricks. Chat? Anyone else seeing this? Before anyone could respond, every screen in his apartment, monitors, his phone on the desk, even the old tablet charging in the corner, flashed with blinding blue light. Not just his apartment. Through the window, he saw the building across the street darken as every window lit up with the same eerie azure glow. A collective gasp seemed to rise from the city, swallowed by sudden silence. On his main monitor, words materialized in crisp, white text against the blue. System integration initiated. Earth has been assimilated into the infinite game. All organic life forms will receive status screens. Monster spawns commencing in 10 seconds. Leo stared, his mind refusing to process what he was seeing. This had to be some elaborate hack. A coordinated prank by rival streamers. But the timing was too perfect, the scale too vast. Through his headphones, he heard panicked voices from his stream, viewers reporting the same blue screens in their homes across different time zones. "What the hell is this?" he whispered. His stream overlay completed its transformation. The familiar layout of alerts and chat boxes melted away, replaced by a clean, minimalist interface. At the top left, his name appeared, Leo Martinez. Below it, a progress bar labeled System Points, SP0. To the right, real-time metrics he recognized, *** viewer count, 52 ***, likes, 12, donations, $0, but now they pulsed with soft golden light. And centered on the screen, bold and impossible. Audience investment system activated. Your powers are tied to viewer engagement. Convert likes, donations, and shares to SP for instant upgrades. This isn't happening, Leo breathed. His hands trembled over the keyboard. The game he'd been streaming had frozen entirely, replaced by this system interface. He tried to Alt-Tab, to close the window, but nothing responded. The blue screen persisted on his other monitors. Then the screaming started. It came from the street below, sharp, primal shrieks that cut through the night. Leo scrambled from his chair, knocking over the energy drink. The liquid spread across his desk as he rushed to the window. What he saw made his blood run cold. Creatures were emerging from shimmering portals of distorted air. They stood about 4 feet tall with mottled green skin, pointed ears, and crude weapons fashioned from bone and rusted metal. Goblins. Actual goddamn goblins, straight out of the fantasy games he streamed, now tearing through a parked car with claws and teeth. A man in a delivery uniform tried to run. One of the goblins lunged, a jagged knife flashing. The screen cut off abruptly. Leo stumbled back from the window, heart hammering against his ribs. This wasn't a hack. This wasn't a prank. The blue screens, the system messages, the monsters, it was all real. The apocalypse wasn't coming, it was here, and it had game mechanics. His eyes darted to his streaming setup. The viewer count had jumped to 112. Comments scrolled frantically. Asterisk, is this ARG? Asterisk. Dude, those CGI effects are insane. That looked real, holy shit. Streaming the end of the world LMAO. They thought it was content. Special effects. An elaborate bit for views. And part of Leo's mind, the part that had spent years chasing algorithms and engagement, saw the opportunity. But the larger part was pure, animal terror. A thud against his apartment door. Then another. Something was scratching at the wood, accompanied by guttural chittering. Leo froze, eyes locked on the door handle. It rattled. The scratching grew more frantic. They were out in the hallway. Think, he muttered to himself. His eyes fell on the system interface still glowing on his main monitor. SP-0. He had no points, no upgrades. He was just Leo Martinez, washed-up streamer with below-average stamina from too many sedentary hours. The door splintered near the bottom. A clawed green hand forced its way through, grasping at empty air. Leo's survival instinct kicked in. He grabbed the only weapon within reach, his gaming chair, heavy with its steel frame and hydraulic lift. He hefted it, muscles straining. The goblin squeezed through the broken panel. It was uglier up close, with yellow eyes that held malicious intelligence. It smelled of wet earth and rotting meat. When it saw Leo, it hissed, revealing needle-like teeth, and charged. Leo swung the chair. The impact jarred his arms, but the goblin staggered. It wasn't enough. The creature recovered quickly, slashing with its claws. Leo barely dodged, feeling the air whistle past his face. He backed toward his desk, eyes darting for an escape. The window. Third floor, possible broken legs. The bathroom? No lock strong enough. His streaming camera, mounted on a tripod, caught everything. The viewer count skyrocketed, 250, 500, 1,000. Likes poured in, dozens, then hundreds. People were sharing the stream, clips of the blue screens and now this desperate fight. On the system interface, a notification popped up. Viral clip detected, streamer versus goblin. Engagement surge, plus 342 likes, plus 87 shares. Converting to SP. The SP-0 ticked upward, 5. 12. 28, ***. Leo didn't have time to process it. The goblin lunged again. This time, Leo was slower, fatigue setting in. Claws raked across his arm, tearing through fabric and skin. Pain flared hot and bright. He cried out, dropping the chair. The goblin pressed its advantage, leaping onto his desk, sending keyboards and monitors crashing to the floor. It raised its claws for a killing strike. Desperate, Leo did the only thing he could think of. He reached for the system interface in his mind, not with his hands, but with intention. The shop menu appeared, options flashing, stats, skills, items. All grayed out except one under stats, strength, cost, 20 SP. He had 31 SP. Buy, he screamed, not caring if it made sense. Strength increased from 8 to 9. SP remaining, 11. A surge of warmth flooded his body. It wasn't dramatic, no visible muscles bulging, but he felt denser, more solid. When the goblin swung, Leo caught its wrist. His grip was stronger, firmer. He twisted, hearing something snap. The goblin screeched, dropping its weapon, a sharpened piece of rebar. Leo didn't hesitate. He grabbed the rebar and drove it into the creature's chest. The goblin thrashed, then went still. Dark blood pooled on his ruined desk. For a long moment, Leo just stood there, breathing ragged. The pain in his arm throbbed. The coppery smell of blood mixed with the goblin's stench. On the floor, his phone, still displaying the blue system screen, showed his status. Name, Leo Martinez. Level, 1. SP, 11. Viewer count, 2,847. Likes, 1,203. 2,000 viewers. More than he'd had in years. And they'd just watched him kill a monster. He looked at the camera. The red recording light glowed steadily. His audience was waiting. Expecting more content. More survival. Slowly, shakily, Leo picked up his headset from where it had fallen. He put it on, adjusted the mic. The familiar weight felt grounding. He met the camera's lens, seeing not just a piece of equipment, but a lifeline. So, he said, voice rough but steadying. Apocalypse, huh? Guess the meta just changed. Chat exploded with emojis and comments. Donation alerts began to ping, small amounts at first, then larger. With each one, his SP ticked upward, 13. 17. 24, ***. He was still in a blood-splattered apartment with a dead goblin on his desk. Monsters were ravaging the city outside. But for the first time in years, Leo felt a spark of something beyond survival. It was the same rush he got when a stream went viral, when the numbers climbed and the world narrowed to the glow of the screen. He opened the system shop again. More options were available now. Dexterity, 15 SP, Vitality, 20 SP, a basic skill called Parry, 50 SP. He needed to get stronger. Faster. Better. And he knew exactly how to do it. "Alright, chat," Leo said, a grim smile touching his lips. "Here's the deal. I'm making this a reality show. The system gave me this audience investment thing. Your likes and donations give me points to level up. So if you want to see me survive, if you want to see what happens next, you know what to do." He gestured to the goblin corpse. "Clip that. Share it. Let's go viral." And they did. The viewer count climbed, 5,000, 10,000. SP accumulated. Leo used 20 points to buy vitality, feeling his wound knit slightly, the pain dulling to an ache. He was about to check what other skills he could afford when a new system message overlaid his interface, pulsing with urgent crimson light. System anomaly detected. Your stream is trending. Hashtag apocalypse surging globally. Additional effects may occur. Leo stared at the message. Trending. Global hashtags. Effects. The system wasn't just responding to him, it was responding to the audience. To the collective attention of thousands, maybe millions, now watching his survival. Outside, a new sound rose over the city's chaos, a deep, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate through the building's foundations. Through his broken door, Leo saw the hallway lights flicker with that same unnatural blue. Something was changing. The rules were evolving in real time. He looked back at the camera, at the scrolling chat filled with fear, excitement, and demands for more. His arm still bled. The world was ending. But Leo Martinez, professional streamer, finally had a hit show. And he intended to keep it running. The morning after the goblin attack, Leo woke to the soft hum of his streaming rig and the persistent glow of his audience investment system overlay. Sunlight filtered through the cracked window of his apartment, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air like digital particles. His body ached from yesterday's struggle, but his mind was sharp with adrenaline and possibility. He sat up, the mattress creaking beneath him, and immediately checked his system interface. The blue holographic screen floated before his eyes, familiar yet alien. His viewer count had stabilized overnight at 3,742, down from the peak of thousands during the goblin fight, but still magnitudes above his pre-apocalypse average of 12. The SP counter read 128, accumulated from likes, shares, and a few small donations that had trickled in while he slept. Time to spend, Leo muttered to himself, his voice raspy from disuse. He navigated the system shop, a minimalist interface with categories for stats, skills, and items. The stats section glowed invitingly. With a mental command, he allocated 50 SP to strength, bringing it to 15, noticeably above the human average of 10. A warm sensation spread through his limbs, muscles tightening and fibers knitting themselves stronger. He flexed his hands, marveling at the newfound power thrumming beneath his skin. Next, he scrolled through skills. Basic options like Brawler's Fist and Dodge cost 30 SP each, but his eyes landed on something more intriguing, Flash Step, priced at 75 SP. The description read, Instant short-range teleportation within line of sight. Cooldown, 10 seconds. Range, 5 meters. It was expensive, nearly draining his remaining points, but the tactical advantage was undeniable. He purchased it without hesitation. Knowledge flooded his mind, the spatial coordinates, the energy expenditure, the subtle twist of reality required to execute the move. It felt like learning a language he'd always known but never spoken. He stood up, testing the skill. Focusing on a spot across the room, he willed himself forward. There was no sound, no flash of light, just a sudden displacement, as if the universe had skipped a frame. He now stood by the window, the apartment's worn carpet under his feet instead of the wooden floor by his bed. A grin spread across his face. This changes everything. He activated his stream, the overlay switching to broadcast mode. Good morning, Apocalypse survivors, he announced, his voice gaining the practiced cadence of a seasoned streamer. Leo here, coming to you live from day 2 of the Infinite game. Yesterday, we took down a goblin. Today, we're going shopping for supplies and maybe hunting some monsters. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and donate, your engagement keeps me alive. Chat exploded with messages. Viewers greeted him, asked questions about the system, and shared their own survival stories. The SP counter ticked up slowly as likes accumulated. Leo packed a backpack with water bottles, canned food from his pantry, and a kitchen knife, a poor weapon, but better than nothing. He strapped on his streaming headset, adjusted the camera angle, and stepped out into the hallway. The apartment building was eerily quiet. Broken glass littered the floor from shattered light fixtures, and the air smelled of ozone and something metallic, blood, perhaps. He moved cautiously, his senses heightened by the system's stat boosts. Through a window at the end of the hall, he saw the city outside transformed, smoke rose from distant fires, and the occasional scream echoed through the concrete canyons. In the lobby, he encountered his first monster of the day, a lesser slime, a gelatinous blob the size of a basketball, oozing across the linoleum. It was weak, with only 5 HP according to his system scan. Leo didn't hesitate. He activated, Flash Step, appearing behind it, and drove the kitchen knife into its core. The slime dissolved into a puddle of goo and 2 SP, chat cheered, donation spiking briefly. One down, Leo said, wiping his knife on his jeans. Let's see what's outside. The streets were a tableau of chaos. Abandoned cars clogged the roads, some overturned or burning. Groups of survivors huddled in doorways, their eyes wide with fear. Monsters roamed, packs of goblin scouts, with crude spears, dire rats, the size of dogs, and floating will-o-wisps that cast eerie glows. Leo kept his stream running, narrating his movements with a mix of bravado and genuine caution. He avoided large groups, picking off lone monsters with hit-and-run tactics using Flash Step. Each kill granted SP and boosted his viewer count, which climbed to 5,000. As he scavenged a convenience store for more supplies, he heard voices from the back room. Peering through a broken shelf, he saw 3 people, 2 men and a woman, rummaging through boxes. They wore makeshift armor of leather and metal scraps, and one carried a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. Leo decided to approach. Hey there, he called out, keeping his hands visible. Friendly survivor here. The group tensed, the man with the bat stepping forward. He had a gaunt face and hard eyes. Who are you? He demanded. Leo. I'm just trying to stay alive, like everyone else. The woman, younger with frizzy red hair, eyed his streaming gear. Are you filming this? Streaming, yeah. It's how my system works, viewer engagement gives me points to upgrade. The third man, burly with a thick beard, snorted. A cheat. You're one of those lucky bastards who got a special system. We just have basic status screens. Leo felt a pang of guilt, but he pushed it down. It's not luck. It's adaptation. I can help you, share supplies, fight together. The bat wielder shook his head. No thanks. Your kind attracts trouble. We've seen it, monsters swarm around streamers because of the signals or something. You're a liability. Chat reacted with outrage, calling the survivors ungrateful. Leo's viewer count dipped slightly, then rebounded as the drama drew more attention. He took a step back. Suit yourself. Stay safe. He left the store, the encounter leaving a bitter taste. But he didn't have time to dwell. A notification popped up on his stream, challenge received, rival streamer, Shadowblade, has challenged you to a public duel. Location, Central Park. Time, now. Accept or forfeit. Leo's heart raced. Shadowblade was a name he recognized, a pre-apocalypse gaming streamer with a massive following, known for his aggressive playstyle. Accepting could mean a huge boost in viewers, but losing could be catastrophic. He checked his stats, HP 100/100, SP 45, regenerated from recent kills. Flash Step was ready. He made his decision. Chat, we've got a challenge, he announced, his voice steady. Shadowblade wants a piece of the action. Let's show him what viral content looks like. He accepted the duel. A waypoint appeared on his system map, leading to Central Park. He jogged through the streets, using Flash Step to navigate obstacles and avoid monsters. The park, when he arrived, was a grim sight, the grass trampled, trees splintered, and a crowd of about 50 survivors gathered around a cleared circle. In the center stood Shadow Blade. He was tall and lean, clad in dark tactical gear, with a streaming headset similar to Leo's. His eyes glinted with confidence. "Leo, the Apocalypse's new darling," he called out, his voice amplified by his system. "I've got 10,000 viewers watching. Let's see if your cheat can handle real competition." Leo stepped into the circle, his own viewer count surging to 8,000 as news of the duel spread. "It's not a cheat, it's a different playstyle. But sure, let's dance." The rules appeared in both their interfaces, a non-lethal duel to 50% HP, with skills allowed. No outside interference. The crowd murmured, some placing bets with scavenged items. Shadowblade moved first, activating a skill, Shadow Strike. He blurred forward, a dagger appearing in his hand. Leo reacted instinctively, using Flash Step to teleport 5 meters to the left. The dagger sliced through empty air. Chat exploded with excitement, donations flooding in. Leo's SP jumped to 60. He counterattacked, lunging with his kitchen knife. Shadowblade parried with his dagger, the clash of metal ringing out. They exchanged blows, Leo relying on his increased strength and teleportation to keep pace. Shadowblade was faster, his movements precise, a product of his own system, which Leo guessed was combat-focused. "You're just a gimmick." Shadowblade taunted, landing a shallow cut on Leo's arm. HP dropped to 85. Real power comes from grinding, not begging for likes. Leo gritted his teeth. He needed a plan. He feinted left, then used Flash Step to appear behind Shadowblade, driving his knife toward the man's back. But Shadowblade anticipated it, spinning and blocking with a skill, Parry. The impact jarred Leo's arm, and he staggered back. His viewer count spiked to 12,000, the highest yet. People were tuning in for the spectacle, the raw conflict of two streamers clashing in the apocalypse. SP climbed to 80. Leo felt the energy coursing through him, the collective attention of thousands fueling his system. He bought a minor heal with 20 SP, restoring his HP to 100. "Begging?" Leo shot back, circling. "I'm entertaining. That's a skill too." He launched a series of rapid attacks, mixing physical strikes with sudden teleports. Shadowblade struggled to keep up, his HP dropping to 60. The crowd roared, the duel becoming a visceral display of survival. But just as Leo prepared a finishing move, his system overlay flashed red. A global announcement scrolled across his screen, visible to all survivors: "System event triggered, trending hashtag Leo vs Shadowblade has reached critical engagement. Spawning, Eclipse WIRM, in metropolitan area. Event live on all streams." The sky darkened, not with clouds, but with a swirling vortex of energy. A massive shadow fell over the park, and from the vortex descended a creature, a serpentine dragon with scales that drank the light, wings spanning the width of a city block. Its eyes glowed with malevolent intelligence. The Eclipse WIRM, level 25, HP 5000. The duel forgotten, Leo and Shadowblade stared upward, their viewers screaming in chat. The WIRM let out a roar that shook the ground, and the apocalypse took on a new, terrifying scale. The air crackled with static, a tangible weight pressing down on the ruined cityscape. Central Park, moments ago a stage for Leo's duel with Shadowblade, now felt like a shrinking island beneath a gathering storm. The system's announcement hung in the air, its blue text burned into everyone's vision: "Global event triggered, trending hashtag Leo vs Shadowblade. Spawning boss monster, Eclipse WIRM. Location, Central Park, New York City. Estimated arrival, 5 minutes." Leo stumbled back, his breath ragged from the fight. His streaming overlay, the audience investment system, flickered with frantic notifications. Viewer count, 850,000 and climbing. Likes surged past 2 million. Donations pinged like digital raindrops, $5 here, $20 there, each converting to system points, SP, at a dizzying rate. He had 3,200 SP now, a fortune compared to the paltry hundreds he'd started with. But the numbers felt hollow against the shadow darkening the sky. "What the hell is this?" Shadowblade snarled, his own streaming gear, a sleek headset and body cam, crackling. He was a wiry man in tactical gear, his face pale beneath smudged war paint. "Your cheat's breaking the game, Leo." "It's not a cheat." Leo shot back, his voice amplified by his microphone. He glanced at his chat, scrolling too fast to read fully. It's adaptation. The word sounded weak even to him. Around them, the handful of survivors who'd gathered to watch the duel were scattering, their faces etched with terror. One woman, a former office worker clutching a makeshift spear, glared at Leo. "You brought this on us," she screamed before fleeing into the skeletal remains of a nearby building. Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. The psychological toll was immediate, a cocktail of adrenaline, guilt, and the relentless pressure of the camera's red light. He was live. Always live. Every flinch, every doubt, broadcast to nearly 1,000,000 eyes. He forced a grin, the performer's mask sliding into place. "Alright, chat. Looks like the system's throwing us a curveball. Eclipse WIRM incoming. Let's see what we're working with." He activated, Inspect, a basic skill he'd bought earlier for 50 SP. A window materialized. Eclipse WIRM, level 25 boss monster. HP, 15,000/15,000. Abilities, Shadow Breath, AoE Darkness Damage, Wing Buffet, Knockback, Eclipse Call, summons minor shadow creatures. Weakness, Light-based attacks, concentrated strikes to the crystalline core on its chest. Level 25. Leo was level 8. His Flash Step skill, purchased with his first major SP haul, had won him the duel, a burst of speed that let him dodge Shadowblade's dagger strikes and land a solid punch to the jaw. But against this, he swallowed hard. The sky deepened to an unnatural twilight, as if the sun were being swallowed. Distant roars echoed, the sound of collapsing buildings and panicked screams. "You're insane if you think you can fight that," Shadowblade spat, backing away. "I'm out. This isn't content, it's suicide." He cut his stream with a sharp gesture, his feed going dark. Leo's viewer count jumped again, 900,000. Shadowblade's audience, curious or loyal, were migrating. The chat exploded. Donation from user, Lightbringer, $100, LEO. You got this. Buy something big. Donation from user, APOC fan, $50, show us what that SP can do. Donation from user, Skeptic42, $10, he's gonna die live. Worth it. SP ticked up, 3,500. 3,700, the donations were coming faster now, a river of digital currency fueling his survival. Leo's mind raced. He needed power, and fast. He pulled up the system shop, his fingers trembling as he navigated. Stats were cheaper, but skills could turn the tide. He scrolled past, Fireball, 800 SP, Healing Aura, 1,200 SP, to something that caught his eye, Solar Lance, 2,500 SP. A light-based spear attack, perfect for the WIRM's weakness. But spending that much would leave him vulnerable. He hesitated, the stream's pressure like a physical weight. "Chat, what do you think? Solar Lance? Or boost my agility for more dodges?" A poll flashed on screen, auto-generated by the system, Option A, buy Solar Lance, versus, Option B, boost stats. Votes poured in. In seconds, Option A led with 70%. The collective will of the audience, distilled into a simple choice. Leo nodded, a bead of sweat tracing his temple. Solar Lance it is. He confirmed the purchase. SP drained to 1,200, and knowledge flooded his mind, the feel of conjuring light, the stance, the release. A warm, golden glow enveloped his right hand, solidifying into a lance of pure energy. It hummed with power, casting long shadows on the cracked pavement. The Eclipse WIRM descended. It was a monstrosity of scale and shadow, its wingspan blotting out the sky. Leathery wings, veined with pulsating darkness, beat with gusts that tore at Leo's clothes. Its body was serpentine, covered in obsidian scales that drank the light, and its eyes glowed with malevolent violet fire. On its chest, a pulsating crystal, the core, shimmered like a captured star. It landed in the park's center, crushing a forgotten playground, its roar shaking the ground. Debris rained down. Leo's camera, mounted on a floating drone he bought earlier for 200 SP, zoomed in, capturing every detail for the stream. Viewer count, 1.2 million. Likes, 3 million. Donations surged again, $200, $500, a sudden $1,000 from an anonymous donor. SP, 2,000 and climbing. Here we go, everyone. Leo shouted, his voice raw with fear and excitement. He gripped the solar lance, its light a defiant beacon in the gloom. Time to earn those subscriptions. He activated, flash step, blurring forward. The WIRM's head swung, its maw opening to unleash, shadow breath. A wave of inky darkness billowed out, corrosive and cold. Leo dodged left, the breath scorching the ground where he'd stood, withering grass and concrete alike. Chat went wild. User, Dragon Slayer, OMG that dodge. Donation, $50, more speed Leo. He lunged, driving the solar lance toward the crystal core. It connected with a sound like shattering glass, light flaring against shadow. The WIRM screeched, a sound that pierced Leo's ears. Damage numbers floated, -500 HP. Good, but not enough. Its health bar dipped slightly, 14,500/15,000. It retaliated with, Wing Buffet, a massive sweep that caught Leo off guard. He flew back, skidding across the dirt, his HP dropping by a third. Pain lanced through his side. The stream gasped collectively. Okay, chat, need some help here. Leo groaned, pushing himself up. His HP, 65/100. He could buy a healing potion, 300 SP, or risk it. The audience decided. A new poll, heal now, versus, save SP for big move. Votes tied, then, save SP, pulled ahead. Leo gritted his teeth. You're a tough crowd. He dodged another shadow breath, the darkness nipping at his heels. SP, 2,500 now. Donations were relentless, fueled by the spectacle. The WIRM began, Eclipse Call. Shadows pooled around it, coalescing into smaller creatures, twisted, dog-like beings with glowing eyes. 6 of them. They charged Leo, a distracting swarm. He swore, using flash step to weave between them, solar lance flicking out to disintegrate one in a burst of light. But the others closed in. His HP ticked down, 50/100. Desperation clawed at him. The pressure to entertain, to survive, was crushing. He could feel the audience's anticipation, a hungry, digital beast. Then, a massive donation alert flashed, donation from user, Hope for Humanity, $5,000, LEO. End this. For all of US. SP skyrocketed, 4,000. Leo's eyes widened. This was it. He needed something bigger. In the shop, a skill glowed, radiant burst, 3,500 SP. An area of effect light explosion, draining but powerful. Without hesitation, he bought it. SP dropped to 500, but new energy surged through him. Thank you, Hope for Humanity, he roared. Chat, this is for you. He gathered the light, the solar lance dissolving into a ball of brilliance in his hands. The shadow creatures lunged. Leo released, radiant burst. A wave of pure sunlight exploded outward, incinerating the minor monsters and slamming into the Eclipse WIRM. The crystal core cracked, light pouring into the fissures. The WIRM writhed, its screams echoing through the city. Damage numbers flooded the screen, -3,000 HP. Then another burst from the lingering energy, -2,000 HP. Its health plummeted to 9,500/15,000. It was wounded, enraged. It charged, moving faster than before. Leo barely dodged, flash step straining his stamina. He needed one more hit. But his SP was low, his HP critical. The chat was a frenzy of encouragement and fear. Then, a system message popped up, not from the global event, but private, incoming communication, the syndicate. Accept? Y/N. Leo's blood ran cold. He'd heard whispers of the syndicate, a guild that had emerged in the first days of the apocalypse, recruiting strong survivors and seizing resources through force. They were ruthless, organized. He almost ignored it, but curiosity and the need for any advantage made him accept. A voice, smooth and cold, spoke in his ear, audible only to him. Leo. Impressive display. But you're running out of time. We can help. We offer protection, resources, a team. In exchange, we take 50% control of your stream's revenue and editorial decisions. Accept, and we'll provide a buff now. Editorial decisions. Control. Leo's stomach twisted. This stream was his lifeline, his identity. He glanced at the WIRM, which was gathering for another shadow breath. His HP, 30/100. SP, 500. He could buy a heal, but then he'd have nothing left for an attack. The syndicate's offer was a leash. He thought of his viewers, the donations, the comments, the shared struggle. They were his team. No deal, he said, his voice firm despite the tremor. I work alone. The voice chuckled, icy. A shame. Then die a star, streamer. The connection cut. Anger fueled Leo. He spent his last 500 SP on a healing potion, gulping it down. HP restored to 80/100. The WIRM breathed its darkness. Leo didn't dodge. Instead, he charged straight into the shadow breath, using flash step to minimize exposure. Pain seared him, HP dropped to 40 out of 100, but he broke through, right up to the cracked crystal core. He had no SP left, no fancy skills. Just his fists, and the will of his audience. This one's for you, chat, he screamed, and drove his fist into the core. Light erupted from within the WIRM, a final, catastrophic burst. The core shattered. The eclipsed WIRM let out a dying shriek, its body dissolving into motes of shadow and light. Boss defeated, eclipsed WIRM. Bonus SP, 1000. Level up. Leo is now level 12. Leo collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. The sky cleared, twilight receding to a normal evening. His viewer count, 2.5 million. Likes, 10 million. Donations had poured in during the final moments, SP now sat at 2000 again. He was exhausted, bruised, but alive. The chat exploded in celebration, a waterfall of emojis and praise. He managed a weary smile. We did it, everyone. Thanks for riding with me. But as he stood, his drone camera panned, and in the ruins at the edge of the park, 3 figures stepped into view. They wore sleek, black armor with a crimson insignia, a stylized S. The Syndicate. One held a device that crackled with interference. The lead figure, a woman with sharp features and cold eyes, spoke, her voice picked up by Leo's microphone for all to hear. Leo. You had your chance. Now, we'll take your stream by force. And if your viewers interfere. She gestured, and the other 2 raised weapons, energy rifles aimed not at Leo, but at the drone, at the lens. We'll shut this show down permanently. The stream froze for a second, a glitch in the feed. 2 million viewers held their breath. Leo's heart sank. The victory felt hollow. The real battle was just beginning. The rain fell in sheets, turning the ruined streets of Neo-Tokyo into a shimmering maze of reflections and shadows. Leo crouched behind the shattered remains of a delivery drone, his breath fogging in the cold air. The overlay of his audience investment system flickered at the edge of his vision, a constant reminder of both his salvation and his curse. Viewer count, 87,432. Engagement, 92%. SP available, 1,250. The numbers were a lifeline, and a target. He could still see the syndicate assassins in his mind's eye, their black tactical gear blending with the gloom as they materialized on his stream feed after the Eclipse WIRM fight. Their leader's voice had been cold, digital, comply or be silenced. Leo's hands trembled, not from fear but from adrenaline. He'd spent the last 3 hours running, using every trick he'd learned from streaming survival horror games. But this was no game. The system apocalypse had turned Earth into a lethal playground, and he was both player and entertainment. Chat's going wild, folks, he whispered into his headset mic, keeping his voice low. The audio feed would pick it up, adding to the tension his viewers craved. Syndicate's got eyes everywhere. But we're not done yet. Donation alerts pinged in his overlay. User, Survivalist Sam, donated 500 SP, get moving, Leo. They're 2 blocks east. Leo didn't hesitate. He spent 200 SP instantly, purchasing the skill upgrade he'd been eyeing, Flash Step 2. The knowledge flooded his mind, advanced movement techniques, how to bend light and shadow for brief invisibility. His body tingled as the system integrated the skill into his nervous system. He burst from cover, his movements a blur. Raindrops seemed to hang in the air as he darted between collapsed storefronts, his upgraded boots, purchased earlier with 300 SP, gripping the wet concrete without a sound. The urban camouflage gear he bought for 150 SP shifted colors to match his surroundings, making him nearly invisible in the gloom. Where to, chat, he breathed, pulling up a mental map. His viewers responded with a flood of suggestions, their comments appearing as translucent text in his peripheral vision. Most voted for the old subway tunnels, abandoned since the system integration, likely monster-infested, but perfect for losing pursuers. He was about to head that way when a new notification flashed, this one from the system itself, not his stream overlay. Global alert, trending topic #Apocalypse Survival, detected. Random event triggered, blessing of the Watchers active in Neo-Tokyo Sector 7. All players receive plus 10% XP gain for 1 hour. Leo froze mid-step. That was his hashtag. He'd been using it since his first viral clip. Now it was, influencing the system. Did you see that? He said, unable to keep the awe from his voice. My trending topic just triggered a global buff. This changes everything. His viewer count jumped to 94,211. Engagement hit 95%. SP climbed to 1,400 as donations poured in. User, System Scholar, donated 200 SP, the system responds to collective attention. Your stream is a focal point. Leo's mind raced. If his stream could influence system events. He needed to test this. But first, survival. He reached the subway entrance, a gaping maw of darkness strewn with rubble. The rain had turned the stairs into a waterfall. From behind, he heard the distinct hum of syndicate hoverbikes. They're here, he whispered, dropping into a crouch. Time for a lesson in apocalypse survival. He switched his stream's title to Apocalypse Survival Guide, Episode 1, Losing Pursuers. Immediately, viewer count surged past 100,000. People wanted knowledge, not just entertainment. In a world where everyone had become a player in this deadly game, information was currency. Leo descended into the darkness, activating a glow orb he'd purchased for 50 SP. The soft blue light revealed a tunnel choked with debris and strange, phosphorescent fungi that hadn't existed before the system. The air smelled of damp earth and ozone. Rule 1, he began, his voice echoing slightly. He kept moving, his enhanced hearing picking up the distant sounds of the syndicate's search above. Always have an escape route. The tunnels might be dangerous, but they're predictable. Your enemies aren't. He narrated his movements, checking for unstable ceilings, avoiding patches of strange mold that might be toxic, using his Flash Step 2 to cross gaps in the tracks. His viewers ate it up. Comments scrolled faster. This is gold. Where were you when the goblins attacked my block? Donating for more tips. SP climbed, 1,600. 1,800. He spent 400 SP on enhanced senses, allowing him to see in near total darkness and hear the scuttling of creatures deeper in the tunnels. There, movement to his left. He gestured for silence, though his viewers couldn't make noise anyway. A pack of tunnel stalkers emerged, dog-sized insects with too many legs and razor-sharp mandibles. Level 8 monsters. Leo grinned. Perfect demonstration material. Rule 2, he said, drawing the plasma blade he'd bought after the Eclipse WIRM fight. Know your enemy's patterns. He didn't wait for them to attack. Using Flash Step 2, he appeared behind the lead stalker, his blade slicing through its chitinous shell in a shower of sparks. The others swarmed, but he was already moving, a dance of light and shadow. He narrated each move, they're fast but predictable, watch how they telegraph their lunges. He took down 3 more, his blade humming. The last one tried to flee, but he pinned it with a well-thrown shock dart, 50 SP. The creature convulsed and stilled. And Rule 3, he finished, wiping his blade. Always loot. System points are everything. He collected the meager SP drops from the monsters, another 120 SP added to his pool. His viewer count hit 115,000. Engagement, 97%. He was trending again, this time with #survival guide. Another system alert. Global alert, trending topic #survival guide detected. Random event triggered, resource surge in Neo-Tokyo. All loot drops increased by 15% for 30 minutes. Leo laughed, the sound bouncing off the tunnel walls. See? We're not just surviving, we're shaping this new world. He continued deeper, his Apocalypse Survival Guide becoming a real-time series. He covered everything from purifying water with system-purchased filters, 100 SP, to identifying edible mutant plants. His SP pool grew to 2,300. He upgraded his Plasma Blade to Tier 2, 500 SP, its edge now crackling with energy. For 2 hours, he lost himself in the broadcast. The syndicate seemed distant. He was building something, not just a stream, but a legacy. People were relying on him. Then he reached a vast chamber where the tunnels converged. The ceiling soared 50 feet high, dotted with bioluminescent growths that cast an eerie green light. In the center stood a ruined subway car, its windows blown out. And beyond it, Leo's breath caught. Through a colossal crack in the far wall, a tear in reality itself, he could see something moving in the distance. Not in the tunnel, but through the crack, as if looking into another layer of existence. It was massive, indistinct, a shifting shape of darkness and impossible geometry that hurt to look at. A notification appeared, this one tinged with crimson. Warning, ancient horror detected. Entity drawn to high-energy broadcast signals. Distance, unknown. Threat level, catastrophic. What is that? Leo whispered. The chat exploded with theories and fear. Viewer count spiked to 130,000, but engagement dropped to 85% as some viewers panicked. It's watching, one comment read. Your stream signal is like a beacon. Leo felt a chill that had nothing to do with the damp air. This thing, this ancient horror, was attracted to his broadcast. His power came with a price. He was about to speak, to rally his viewers, when a donation alert flashed brighter than any before. User, Mystery Patron, donated 5,000 SP, you have potential, streamer. But to survive what comes, you need more than tricks. A hidden class awaits, Reality Shaper. Quest available, Trial of the Signal. Accept. 5,000 SP. More than he'd ever seen donated at once. And a hidden class. Classes were rare in the system, most people just had basic roles like, fighter, or, scout. A hidden class could change everything. But the quest. Trial of the Signal. It sounded dangerous. And with the syndicate hunting him, and that thing in the distance. Leo stared at the prompt. His viewers were holding their breath, he could feel it through the engagement metrics. This was a crossroads. He looked back at the crack in reality. The ancient horror shifted, and for a moment, he thought he saw an eye, vast and lidless, staring back at him through the broadcast feed itself. Well, he said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. Looks like we're upping the production value. He reached out mentally, hovering over the accept option. The quest details unfurled in his mind, journey to the system's local relay tower, now overrun by monsters, and recalibrate the broadcast signal to shape reality. It would mean going to the surface, into syndicate territory. It would mean facing whatever that horror was. But it also meant power. The kind that might let him protect not just himself, but everyone watching. Chat, he said, a grin spreading across his face. We're about to make some serious content. He accepted. Quest accepted, Trial of the Signal. Objective, reach the Neo-Tokyo Broadcast Tower and complete the ritual. Reward, hidden class, Reality Shaper, plus 1000 SP, unknown perks. Warning, quest failure may result in permanent signal disruption. His overlay updated. A new marker appeared on his mental map, the tower, 10 miles away through the most dangerous parts of the city. Above, he heard the hoverbikes again, closer now. The syndicate hadn't given up. And in the distance, through the crack, the ancient horror stirred, as if sensing his decision. Apocalypse Survival Guide is getting a special episode, Leo announced, hefting his upgraded blade. Let's see how far this signal can really reach. He moved toward the tunnel leading upward, toward the surface, toward the tower. The rain still fell outside. The hunt was on. And for the first time, Leo wasn't just running, he was broadcasting a revolution. The neon glow of Leo's streaming overlay cast flickering shadows across the concrete walls of the abandoned subway control room. He sat cross-legged on the dusty floor, his backpack propped against a shattered terminal, the soft hum of his portable generator the only sound besides his own breathing. On the floating screen before him, the notification pulsed with an ethereal light. Hidden class quest accepted, Trial of the Signal. Objective, reach the Neo-Tokyo Broadcast Tower and activate the signal relay. Reward, class unlock, Reality Shaper, SP conversion rate plus 15%. Warning, quest area designated Dungeon Zone, signals echo. High mortality rate detected. Leo took a deep breath, the stale air tasting of rust and decay. 3 days had passed since he'd accepted the quest from that mysterious donor, Echo Watcher, the username still burned in his memory alongside the staggering 5,000 SP donation. 3 days of creeping through subway tunnels, avoiding syndicate patrols, and watching his viewer count fluctuate with every close call. His Apocalypse Survival Guide series had boosted his following to 85,000 concurrent viewers, but the pressure was a constant weight on his shoulders. He adjusted the camera drone hovering at his shoulder, its lens catching the determined set of his jaw. "Alright, chat," he said, his voice low but clear. "We're at the entrance. The quest marker says the dungeon starts beyond that door." He gestured to a reinforced steel door marked Maintenance Access, Broadcast Tower Utility Tunnels. The metal was scarred with claw marks, and a system warning shimmered above it, Dungeon Zone, Signals Echo, recommended level 15. Leo was only level 11. Viewer _count, 87,342. SP, 8,450. Donation alert, user Survival Fan 99 donated 50 SP, good luck Leo. Vote for left path. Chat scrolling, left. Left, /right look safer, / donation vote tally, left 60%, right 40%, / syndicate spotted nearby, / ancient horror trending again. Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. The syndicate. They'd been tracking him since his refusal of their protection offer, their assassins appearing in flashes during his streams. And the ancient horror, that glimpse through the reality crack in the tunnel still haunted his dreams, a shifting mass of shadows and eyes, drawn to his broadcast signal like a moth to flame. He pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the overlay. The donation voting system he'd implemented last week was active, viewers spending SP to influence his choices in real time. It boosted engagement, but it also meant his survival depended on popular opinion. "Left path it is," he announced, forcing confidence into his tone. He spent 200 SP to activate, Flash Step, his body blurring as he darted to the door. A skill he'd bought back in Chapter 2, it still felt unnatural, like his muscles were moving on someone else's command. He keyed in the code from the quest notes, donated by another viewer for 100 SP, and the door hissed open, revealing a dark tunnel sloping upward. The air changed instantly, growing colder and thick with static. The walls were lined with pulsating cables that glowed with a faint blue light, echoing the system's aesthetic. Leo stepped inside, his boots crunching on broken glass. The door sealed behind him with a final clang, and a new notification appeared. Dungeon entered, Signals Echo. Objective updated, navigate to the central relay chamber. Special rule, viewer choices enabled, donations will trigger path events. He moved cautiously, the camera drone illuminating the way. The tunnel branched after 50 meters, left path descended into a chamber humming with energy, right path climbed a staircase lined with flickering monitors. The overlay flashed. Path choice, left, energy core chamber, high risk, high reward, or right, monitor hall, stealth route. Donation voting open, 30 seconds. Leo leaned against the wall, his breath fogging in the cold. Chat, you know the drill. SP donations decide our route. Remember, higher risk might mean better loot, but I'm only level 11. He watched the tally climb, his palms sweating. Left path pulled ahead, fueled by big donations from users like Loot Goblin and Adrenaline Junkie. He sighed, viewers love drama, even if it risked his life. Vote result, left, 72%. Left it is, Leo said, gripping his upgraded knife, serrated edge blade, he bought for 500 SP after the syndicate chase. He descended into the chamber, the hum growing to a deafening roar. The room was vast, dominated by a massive crystal core suspended in mid-air, crackling with arcs of electricity. But between him and the core lurked monsters, 3, signal-warped gremlins, level 13, their bodies twisted by the dungeon's energy, claws crackling with static. Combat alert. Leo didn't hesitate. He streamed everything, his commentary rapid. 3 gremlins, chat. Let's see if our new skill pays off. He'd spent 1000 SP yesterday on static discharge, a skill that let him unleash electrical bursts, perfect for this environment. He activated it, 50 SP per use, and a bolt of lightning shot from his hand, striking the nearest gremlin. It screeched, health bar dropping by a third. Donation alert, user, Combat Fan, donated 200 SP, finish them. Voting for combo attack. Chat, use flash step to dodge, / more lightning, / syndicate alert in chat. Someone leaked your location. Leo's blood ran cold. Syndicate here. He pushed it aside, focusing on the fight. Viewer donations triggered a combo prompt, use, flash step, and static discharge, together for bonus damage. He spent another 100 SP, his body blurring as he zipped behind a gremlin, unleashing a point-blank shock. The monster dissolved into data particles, granting 150 SP and a cracked energy shard item. He repeated the process, sweat dripping down his back, his SP draining to 7,800. The last gremlin fell, and he approached the crystal core. A prompt appeared, interact with energy core. Risk, trap or reward. Donation voting flared again, 70% voted yes. Leo touched the core, and it shattered, revealing a small relic, signal amplifier, uncommon. Item acquired, signal amplifier. Effect, SP conversion rate plus 5%, stacks with quest reward. Description, an ancient device that boosts broadcast signals. Your stream's engagement will yield more SP. Leo grinned, holding it up to the camera. Look at this, chat. Our first dungeon loot. The viewers erupted in donations, SP climbing to 8,200. But as he pocketed the relic, a system message flashed red. Warning, Syndicate presence detected at dungeon entrance. Viewer leak confirmed, user, Syndicate spy, banned from chat. His smile vanished. They'd found him. He had to move faster. The next hour was a blur of traps and choices. A corridor filled with pressure plates, viewers voted to have him dance through them, donations funding a agility buff, for 300 SP, narrowly avoiding darts tipped with paralysis poison. A room with a puzzle involving aligning frequencies, a viewer donated 500 SP to reveal the solution, but it attracted a frequency phantom, level 14, that Leo barely defeated with a last-second donation surge for an emergency health potion. Through it all, he streamed relentlessly, his commentary a mix of strategy and showmanship. Chat, this next room looks nasty. Voting for stealth or assault. He played to the audience, his heart racing every time his SP dipped below 5,000. The dungeon was messing with his signal, viewer count fluctuated between 80,000 and 90,000, and he could feel the ancient horror's presence like a distant tremor. The quest log noted its signal resonance, increasing with his broadcast. Finally, he reached the central relay chamber. It was a circular room at the base of the broadcast tower, filled with archaic equipment and a massive console. In the center stood a pedestal holding the signal relay key, glowing softly. But between him and it was the dungeon boss, Echo Keeper, level 16, a humanoid figure woven from static and shattered screens, its form flickering with stolen broadcasts. Boss encounter, Echo Keeper. Special ability, Signal Drain, reduces viewer engagement and SP gain. Leo's mouth went dry. Level 16. He had 6,400 SP left. The camera drone zoomed in, and he addressed his audience, his voice raw. This is it, everyone. The boss. My stats aren't great, but with your help. He trailed off as the Echo Keeper turned, its face a mosaic of screaming faces from old broadcasts. Donation alert, mass donation drive started by user Echo Watcher, 2000 SP. Message, prove your worth, streamer. The horror watches. Leo's eyes widened. Echo Watcher again. The SP boost was huge, pushing him to 8,400 SP. He didn't have time to question it. The Echo Keeper lunged, and combat began. It was brutal. The boss's signal drain ability made his viewer count stutter, SP gain slowing. Leo used flash step to evade static discharge, to chip at its health, but it wasn't enough. At 50% health, the boss unleashed a broadcast scream, disorienting him and causing a temporary viewer drop to 70,000. SP, 5,200. Desperation clawed at him. He opened the system shop mid-fight, viewers donating to fund a purchase. They voted for Signal Jammer, one-time use, for 3,000 SP. He bought it, activated it, and the boss staggered, its abilities nullified for 10 seconds. Leo went all in, spending his remaining SP on boosted attacks. With a final, static discharge, amplified by a last-second 500 SP donation from the crowd, the Echo Keeper shattered. Victory. SP gained, 2,000. Level up, level 12. Item acquired, signal relay key. Leo collapsed against the console, breathing heavily. His SP sat at 4,700, his body aching. But he'd done it. He grabbed the key, inserted it into the console, and activated the relay. A beam of light shot upward through the tower, and his quest updated. Quest completed, Trial of the Signal. Reward, Class Unlock available, Reality Shaper. Bonus, SP conversion rate plus 15%, now active with Signal Amplifier, total plus 20%. A new skill tree appeared in his overlay, options 4, Reality Shaper, abilities grayed out but tantalizing. He didn't have time to explore it. As the relay hummed, a final notification blinked. Warning, Syndicate forces assembled at dungeon exit. Ancient horror signal resonance, critical, entity awakening detected. Leo's celebration died. He gathered his gear, the camera drone following as he rushed back through the dungeon, now cleared of monsters. His mind raced, the Syndicate ambush was expected, but the horror awakening? That was the cliffhanger from the previous summary coming to life. He reached the entrance door, his hand hovering over the handle. Chat, we've got company outside, he whispered, viewer count spiking to 95,000. And something worse is stirring. Stay with me. He pushed the door open, stepping back into the subway control room. And froze. The room was no longer empty. 6 Syndicate enforcers in black tactical gear stood in a semicircle, weapons raised. Their leader, a woman with a scar across her cheek and a Syndicate Lieutenant, level 18, tag above her head, smiled coldly. Leo. The stream ends here. Hand over your system access, or we shut it down permanently. But before Leo could respond, the ground trembled. A deep, resonant groan echoed through the tunnels, shaking dust from the ceiling. Through a cracked window, in the distance beyond the ruined cityscape, a massive shape began to rise, shadowy tendrils uncoiling, eyes blinking into existence against the twilight sky. The ancient horror, drawn by his broadcast signal, was now fully awake, its gaze fixed on his location. The Syndicate lieutenant paled, her weapon wavering. Leo's overlay flashed with panic donations, his SP climbing as viewers reacted to the dual threat. He stood trapped between human enemies and an eldritch nightmare, his stream broadcasting it all to a terrified world. The control room of the Signal's Echo Dungeon was a cavernous space of flickering holographic displays and humming machinery, now bathed in the harsh light of Syndicate energy rifles. Leo stood frozen, the Reality Shaper class still settling into his bones like a new weight, his streaming overlay pulsing with viewer notifications. 5 Syndicate enforcers in sleek black combat armor formed a semicircle before the exit, their leader, a woman with a scar across her cheek, leveling her weapon at his chest. Leo, the streamer, she said, her voice amplified by her helmet speaker. Surrender your system access codes. The Syndicate offers you one chance to join us willingly. Leo's mind raced, his heart pounding against his ribs. The stream chat scrolled frantically in his peripheral vision, viewer count, 87,432. Comments flooded in, OMG ambush, donate for skills, fight back, Leo. Each like and donation notification chiming softly in his ears. He could feel the system points, SP, ticking up, 1,250 SP currently, gained from the dungeon run and the hidden class unlock. Not enough. Not for this. He forced a grin, the one he used when facing a tough boss in his old gaming streams. Live from the apocalypse, folks. Looks like we've got some uninvited guests. His voice was steady, broadcast through the audience investment system, to thousands. What's your name, Scarface? My viewers love a good villain. The leader's eyes narrowed. Commander Kayla. And this isn't entertainment. Hand over the codes, or we'll take them from your corpse. Leo's fingers twitched toward the system shop interface only he could see. He needed time. You know, Kayla, my stream's trending. Hurting me might trigger another global event. Remember the boss monster from Chapter 3? He was bluffing, but the memory of that system announcement, triggered by his hashtag, made her hesitate for a second. That second was all he needed. He spent 500 SP on Flash Step, the skill he'd bought earlier, and another 300 on Emergency Barrier, a new defensive skill from the shop. The SP drained instantly, and energy surged through him. Viewers, I need a boost. Donate if you want to see me survive, he shouted, his voice echoing in the chamber. The chat exploded. Donations poured in, user_APOCFan donated 50 SP, survival guide _sub donated 100 SP. His SP jumped to 1,500, then 2,000 as he activated Flash Step. In a blur of motion, he darted to the left, behind a console, as energy bolts sizzled past him. Emergency barrier shimmered into existence around him, absorbing a direct hit that would have melted his armor. He's using SP, one enforcer yelled. Suppress him. Leo crouched, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The barrier flickered under sustained fire. He could feel the viewer's anxiety through the engagement metrics, likes were pouring in, but he needed more. Come on, people. I'm giving you front row seats to the apocalypse. Donate for Chain Lightning. He spent another 800 SP, unlocking the skill just as the barrier shattered. Electricity crackled from his hands, arcing toward 3 enforcers. They convulsed, armor smoking, but Kayla dodged, her rifle switching to a grenade launcher. You're just delaying the inevitable, streamer, she snarled. The Syndicate owns this city. Outside, a deep, resonant groan shook the dungeon walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. The ancient horror, the eldritch entity hinted at earlier, was moving. Leo's stream overlay flashed a warning, broadcast signal amplified by 25%, attracting hostile entities. He could feel it, a psychic pull like a black hole tugging at his mind. The horror was drawn to his signal, a beacon in the system's noise. Kayla's eyes widened as a tremor rocked the room. What is that? My fan club, Leo quipped, but fear coiled in his gut. He was attracting monsters just by streaming. Was his survival making things worse for everyone? The thought chilled him, but he pushed it aside. Survival first. He checked his SP, back up to 1,800 from donations. Viewers were rallying, their comments a mix of panic and encouragement. Viewer count, 112,309, it was spiking. He spent 1,000 SP on Phase Shift, a high-tier escape skill. Time to go, folks. Thanks for the donations, keep them coming. His body turned translucent, and he sprinted toward a ventilation shaft he'd noted earlier. Energy bolts passed through him harmlessly, but the skill drained SP rapidly, 50 per second. He had 20 seconds. Kayla fired a grenade, but it exploded against the wall as Leo slid into the shaft. After him, she ordered, but another tremor, louder this time, made the enforcer stumble. The horror was closer. In the tight, dark shaft, Leo crawled, his breath echoing. The stream was still live, viewers watching his shaky cam feed. I'm out, but not safe, he whispered, the reality crashing down. That thing out there, it's coming for me. Because of my stream. His voice broke slightly, raw with realization. He'd been so focused on metrics and power that he hadn't considered the cost. He emerged into a ruined street on the city's outskirts, the dungeon entrance behind him. The sky was a sickly purple, and in the distance, a massive shape loomed, tentacles of shadow and light writhing against the horizon. The ancient horror. It was easily the size of a skyscraper, and it was moving toward him, each step causing the ground to shudder. His overlay flashed, entity detected, eldritch abomination, threat level, cataclysmic. Leo leaned against a broken wall, his body aching from the fight. His SP stabilized at 2,500, donations still trickling in. But the horror's presence was affecting the stream, viewer engagement dipped as fear spread. Viewer count, 98,745. Comments shifted, is that a boss, we're all gonna die, Leo, run. He took a deep breath, the streamer persona reasserting itself. Okay, audience. We've got a situation. That thing is attracted to my broadcast signal. My cheat, our cheat, might be causing this. He spoke calmly, addressing the camera only he could see. I need to understand why. The system isn't just a game, it's reacting to us. To me. He opened his system interface, scrolling past stats and skills to a log he'd ignored, system events. Entries flashed, tied to his stream's hashtags and viewer spikes. The global event from Chapter 3, random spawns from trending topics, it was all connected. His stream was a focal point, bending the system's rules. The audience investment system isn't a bug, he murmured, more to himself than the viewers. It's a feature. And it's drawing in, things that shouldn't be here. As he pondered, a new message popped up on his overlay, glowing with an ominous red hue. It wasn't from a viewer or the shop. The text scrolled slowly, each word feeling heavy. System alert, stream ID #Leo_APOC broadcast has been flagged for review by admin entity. Anomaly detected, unauthorized reality manipulation via collective attention. Stand by for assessment. Leo's blood ran cold. Admin entity. The words echoed in his mind, more terrifying than any monster. He stared at the message, the horror's groans growing louder in the background. His stream was being watched, not just by viewers, but by something higher. Something in charge. He looked into the camera, his face pale but determined. Well, folks. Looks like we've got the system's attention. And that thing is still coming. Next time on Apocalypse Broadcast, we find out who's really pulling the strings. He ended the stream with a forced smile, the feed cutting to black, but his mind was already racing. The admin entity, what did it want? And how much more danger would his broadcast bring? Alone in the ruined street, with the ancient horror closing in and the syndicate likely still hunting him, Leo knew one thing: his survival depended on more than just SP now. He had to unravel the system's secrets, before his stream became the end of everything. The safe house wasn't much, a converted broadcasting studio on the third floor of what had once been a media company's headquarters. Leo sat at the control desk, his streaming equipment humming softly in the dim light filtering through boarded-up windows. Outside, the city groaned under its new reality, distant screams, the occasional burst of gunfire, and always, the low growl of monsters hunting in the ruins. He'd been researching for hours, ever since escaping the syndicate ambush and receiving that chilling system message. His fingers danced across a salvaged tablet, scrolling through fragmented data he'd collected from system terminals, survivor accounts, and his own stream analytics. The numbers told a story he was only beginning to understand. Every spike in viewer engagement correlates with system anomalies, Leo muttered to himself, his voice barely above a whisper. On screen, graphs showed his SP gains aligning perfectly with trending hashtags about his stream. When hashtag Leo vs Goblin had gone viral, the system had spawned that first boss monster. When donations surged during the syndicate fight, the ancient horror had stirred from its slumber. It wasn't coincidence, it was causation. He leaned back, rubbing his tired eyes. The control room smelled of ozone and dust, with the faint metallic tang of fear that seemed to permeate everything since the apocalypse began. His reflection in the dark monitor showed a man changed, leaner, harder around the edges, with eyes that had seen too much too fast. But there was still that spark, the entertainer's instinct that had kept him streaming through the collapse of civilization. "You're thinking too loud," a voice said from the doorway. Leo turned to see Maya leaning against the frame, her arms crossed. She was one of the survivors who joined him after the dungeon incident, a former network engineer with sharp eyes and sharper survival instincts. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she carried a modified rifle slung over one shoulder. "Can't help it," Leo said, gesturing to the data. "The system responds to attention. Collective human attention. My stream is just amplifying it." Maya moved into the room, her boots clicking on the concrete floor. She peered at the tablet. "So what you're saying is, every time someone watches your broadcast, they're not just donating SP, they're shaping reality. More or less." Leo stood, pacing the length of the control room. "Think about it. The system integrated Earth into this game, right? But games need players. Audiences. What if we're not just survivors, we're content?" The thought hung in the air, heavy and unsettling. Maya's expression tightened. "That's disturbing. Tell me about it." Leo stopped at the window, peering through a crack in the boards. The street below was empty except for debris and the occasional skittering shape in the shadows. "But it explains everything. Why my powers depend on engagement. Why trending topics trigger events. The system is sentient, Maya. And it's watching." He turned back to her, his mind racing. "Which means I need to lean into it harder. If attention shapes reality, then I need more attention. More power." "You're planning another broadcast," Maya said, not asking. Leo nodded, a plan crystallizing in his mind. "A special. Not just survival footage, an investigation. I'll stream my research, show people what I've found. If I can make them understand how the system works, maybe we can use it instead of just surviving it." "That's dangerous," Maya warned. "The syndicate is still out there. And that thing you woke up." She shuddered. "I've seen the footage from your stream. It's getting closer." On cue, a low vibration thrummed through the building, distant, but unmistakable. The ancient horror was on the move again, drawn like a moth to the flame of Leo's broadcast signal. He could feel it in his bones, a psychic pressure that had been growing steadily since the dungeon. "I know," Leo said quietly. "But hiding won't stop it. My stream is a beacon. The only way forward is through. He activated his streaming interface, the familiar overlay appearing in his vision. Viewer count, 287,453 and climbing steadily. Comments scrolled past in his peripheral vision, words of encouragement, questions, the occasional donation notification. He took a deep breath, the performer's mask settling over his features. Let's give them a show, he said, and hit the broadcast button. Welcome back, everyone, Leo said, his voice taking on that smooth, confident tone he used for streaming. The camera drone he'd purchased with SP hovered nearby, capturing every angle. Today, we're doing something different. We're not just surviving, we're investigating. He gestured to the data on his tablet, which now displayed on screen for his viewers. For those just joining us, I'm Leo, and this is the Apocalypse Survival Guide. And right now, we're going to talk about how the system really works. The comments exploded. Viewership jumped to 350,000 almost immediately. Donation notifications pinged in rapid succession. User Survivor 23 donated 50 SP, tell us everything. User System Sleuth donated 100 SP, I've noticed patterns too. User Hope for Tomorrow donated 200 SP, make it make sense. Leo felt the SP flowing into his reserve, a warm, electric sensation that buzzed beneath his skin. He'd already spent most of his previous SP on upgrades after the ambush, his agility was now at 45, intelligence at 38, and he'd purchased a new skill, data analysis, specifically for this research. But the incoming donations promised more power, more options. Look at this correlation, he said, highlighting a graph. Every time a hashtag about my stream trends globally, the system generates an event. Boss monsters spawn. Dungeons appear. Buffs and debuffs get applied randomly. He zoomed in on the data. It's not random at all. It's responsive. Maya watched from the sidelines, her rifle ready. She'd positioned herself near the door, her eyes constantly scanning for threats. The safe house had defenses, reinforced doors, tripwires, even a few automated turrets Leo had bought with SP, but they both knew nothing was foolproof in the apocalypse. What does this mean for US? Leo asked his audience, leaning toward the camera. It means we have more agency than we thought. If collective attention shapes system events, then by focusing our attention, we can influence what happens next. He paused, letting the idea sink in. The comments were a blur of excitement and fear. So we're basically gods. This is terrifying. What if we trend something positive? Don't give the syndicate ideas. Exactly, Leo said, catching that last comment. Which brings me to my next point. The syndicate wants to control this. They want to weaponize the system's responsiveness. But I think there's another way. A better way. He opened his status screen, showing it to the camera. My audience investment system converts your engagement into power. But what if we could do more? What if we could use that power to not just fight monsters, but to understand the system itself? To maybe, eventually, find a way out of this game. The donation notifications became a torrent. SP poured in, 500, 1,000, 2,500. His reserve swelled, and Leo felt a heady rush of potential. With this much SP, he could buy serious upgrades. Maybe even unlock that hidden class option that had appeared after the massive donation in Chapter 4. But first, he needed to survive the next few hours. The attack came 30 minutes into the broadcast, just as Leo was explaining how system events seemed to scale with viewer numbers. An explosion rocked the building's lower floors. The sound was deafening, a concussive blast that shattered windows and sent dust cascading from the ceiling. Alarms screamed, both physical and in Leo's system interface. Warning, safe house defenses breached. Multiple hostiles detected. Syndicate signatures confirmed. They're here, Maya shouted, already moving to defensive positions. Leo, we need to move. But Leo didn't run. Instead, he turned the camera toward the door, his heart hammering against his ribs. Fear was a cold knot in his stomach, but beneath it burned something hotter, determination. And the performer's instinct to never break character. Well, folks, he said, his voice remarkably steady. Looks like we have uninvited guests. The syndicate has decided to crash our investigation stream. Viewership skyrocketed. 500,000, 750,000. A million. The comments were a frenzy. Fight. Donate for Leo. Syndicate scum. Show them what content creation can do. SP flooded in so fast it was dizzying. 5,000, 10,000. Leo's reserve, which had been at 3,500, shot up to over 15,000 in seconds. The system shop interface flashed in his vision, offering new options unlocked by the surge. Emergency barrier, 2,000 SP. Tactical overlay, 1,500 SP. Combo skill, chain flash, 5,000 SP. He bought them all, the SP draining and then immediately refilling from more donations. A shimmering blue barrier appeared around him and Maya just as the door exploded inward. Syndicate forces poured into the room, 6 armored figures in matte black combat gear, their faces hidden behind helmets that glowed with red system-enhanced optics. They moved with unnatural coordination, clearly buffed by skills or items. The leader, taller than the others, carried a crackling energy blade. "Leo," the leader said, his voice distorted by his helmet's modulator. "You've been flagged. The Syndicate claims your system anomaly. Stand down, and we'll make it quick." "Yeah, I don't think so," Leo said, and activated, Flash Step. He blurred across the room, appearing behind the lead Syndicate agent. His own energy blade, purchased with SP after the dungeon, flared to life in his hand. He brought it down in a sweeping arc, but the agent was faster, parrying with practiced ease. "Your tricks won't work twice, streamer," the agent snarled, pressing the attack. But Leo wasn't relying on tricks alone. He'd been streaming combat for weeks now, and he'd learned. He ducked under a slash, rolled to the side, and came up firing with a SP-purchased plasma pistol. The shot caught a Syndicate soldier in the shoulder, spinning him around. Maya opened up with her rifle, covering fire that forced the other agents to take cover. The control room became a chaos of energy blasts, shouting, and the constant hum of Leo's barrier absorbing hits. All the while, the camera drone weaved through the fight, capturing every moment. The viewer count hit 1.5 million. Donations became a continuous stream, a river of SP that Leo channeled into instant upgrades. He boosted his strength mid-swing, making his next blow stagger the lead agent. He activated Chain Lightning, spending 3,000 SP to send arcs of electricity dancing between 3 Syndicate soldiers. One went down, smoking. Another screamed as his armor shorted out. But the Syndicate was prepared. 2 agents produced devices that latched onto the floor and began emitting a pulsing red field. Leo's barrier flickered. His system interface flashed warnings. Signal jamming detected. SP conversion rate reduced by 40%. Emergency skills limited. "They're blocking my connection to you." Leo shouted to his audience, both for their benefit and because he needed them to understand. "If they jam my stream, I lose power." The comments became a unified cry. "Break the jammers. Donate harder. We're with you, Leo." A massive donation notification dominated his vision. Global donation drive initiated by user, anonymous benefactor, 25,000 SP. It was more SP than he'd ever received at once. The surge was so powerful it overloaded the jammers, they exploded in showers of sparks. Leo's connection to his audience roared back to life, stronger than ever. He could feel them, millions of people watching, hoping, investing their attention in his survival. He turned to the remaining Syndicate agents, his eyes glowing with borrowed power. "You wanted to see what my cheat can do?" he said, his voice echoing with unnatural resonance. "Let me show you." He was about to unleash a new skill purchased with the donation surge when a system message appeared, not in his interface, but projected directly into the air of the control room. The words burned with golden light, and everyone, Leo, Maya, the Syndicate agents, froze, staring. It was a single line, simple and devastating. "Admin entity message, prove your worth, streamer." And beneath it, a countdown appeared, 0:59. 0:58. The Syndicate leader recovered first. "The admin is watching," he breathed, awe and fear in his distorted voice. Then he raised his blade. "Kill him now. Before he proves anything." But Leo was already moving, the admin's message burning in his mind. Prove his worth. He'd show them. He'd show everyone. As the Syndicate closed in for the final assault, Leo met Maya's eyes across the room. She nodded, understanding passing between them. Then he turned to the camera, to the millions watching, and smiled. "Well, audience," he said, energy crackling around his fists. "You wanted content? Let's give them something to remember." The countdown hit 0:30 as the Syndicate charged. The countdown blazed in the corner of Leo's vision, 0:59, 0:58, a digital heartbeat synced to the chaos around him. Bullets whizzed past his makeshift barricade of overturned furniture and shattered monitors, each impact sending splinters of wood and plastic into the air. The Syndicate's assault team, clad in dark tactical gear adorned with crimson insignias, advanced methodically through the ruined safe-house. Leo's breath came in ragged gasps, his heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird. On his streaming overlay, viewer comments scrolled in a frenzied cascade. *Donate now. Leo needs SP, *. I just sent 500 credits, get that skill. The admin entity is watching, this is insane. His SP counter flickered, 2,450 points, climbing erratically with each donation. The jammers had overloaded moments ago, thanks to a global surge of contributions, but the Syndicate wasn't relenting. Leo crouched behind a cracked concrete pillar, his hands trembling as he navigated the system shop interface projected in his mind. Prove your worth, the admin entity's message had said. The words burned in his thoughts, a challenge that felt both ominous and exhilarating. Leo, they're flanking left, shouted Mara, a fellow survivor he'd met weeks ago, her voice strained from behind a toppled bookshelf. She fired a makeshift crossbow, the bolt thudding into a Syndicate soldier's shoulder. The man grunted but kept advancing, his eyes cold behind a visor. Leo's gaze darted to the stream stats. Viewer count, 3.2 million, holding steady despite the violence. He had to act, now. With a mental command, he spent 1000 SP on a new skill, Echo Strike. The description flashed, *, unleash a shockwave that mimics your last attack, dealing double damage. Cost, 50 SP per use, *, it was expensive, but the timing was perfect. He'd been saving SP for emergencies, and this was it. Cover me. Leo yelled to Mara, his voice raw with adrenaline. He stood, ignoring the searing pain in his side from an earlier graze. His hands glowed with a faint blue light as he activated, Flash Step, the basic skill he'd bought back in Chapter 2. In a blur of motion, he darted toward the nearest Syndicate operative, a hulking figure wielding a plasma rifle. The soldier fired, but Leo was already behind him, thanks to Flash Step. He swung a reinforced pipe, a weapon he'd upgraded with SP earlier, connecting with the man's helmet. The impact reverberated up Leo's arms. Before the soldier could react, Leo triggered Echo Strike. A visible pulse of energy erupted from the pipe, slamming into the operative and sending him crashing into two others. The trio collapsed in a heap, groaning. Viewer donations spiked. SP, 3,100. Comments exploded. That was epic. Donated 200 more, *. The admin entity must be loving this. Leo's a legend. But the Syndicate wasn't done. Their leader, a woman named Kayla with a scar across her cheek, stepped forward from the shadows near the broken doorway. Her voice cut through the din, amplified by a device on her collar. Leo. Your little show ends here. Hand over the system cheat, and we might let your viewers live. Leo's jaw tightened. He glanced at the stream, viewer count dipped slightly to 3.1 million, anxiety creeping in. He couldn't afford to lose engagement. You think I trust you, he called back, keeping his tone steady for the camera. My audience is my power. And right now, they're rooting for me to wipe the floor with you. He infused his words with confidence, a performance honed from years of streaming. Inside, though, fear gnawed at him. The admin entity's countdown hit 0:30. What would happen if he failed? Would his system be revoked? The stakes were higher than ever. Kayla smirked, signaling her remaining forces, about 6 soldiers, to spread out. Then let's give them a finale. As they advanced, Leo's mind raced. He needed a bigger move, something to solidify viewer loyalty. He spent another 500 SP on upgrading Echo Strike to level 2, reducing its cost to 40 SP per use. Then, with a deep breath, he addressed his stream aloud, knowing every word was being broadcast globally. Everyone. This is it, the moment we turn the tide. Donate if you can, but more importantly, share this stream. Let's trend #Leo vs Syndicate. Our engagement fuels this fight. The response was immediate. Hashtags flooded social media, and his viewer count jumped to 3.5 million. SP soared to 4,000. But then, something unexpected happened. The admin entity's message reappeared, this time in golden text across his overlay, *entertainment value, high. Granting temporary buff, viral momentum. Duration, 5 minutes. Effect, SP generation doubled, skill costs halved, asterisk. A surge of warmth spread through Leo's body. His limbs felt lighter, his thoughts sharper. This was the buff mentioned in the outline, a reward for putting on a good show. He grinned, despite the danger. Thank you, he muttered, though he wasn't sure if the entity could hear. With viral momentum active, Leo became a whirlwind. He used flash step repeatedly, darting between syndicate soldiers, each strike followed by a cheap echo strike. The shockwaves tore through the room, knocking enemies off their feet. Mara joined in, her crossbow finding gaps in their defenses. Within minutes, the syndicate forces were subdued, Kayla pinned against a wall with Leo's pipe at her throat. Tell your bosses to back off, Leo said, his voice low but firm. The stream watched, millions holding their breath. Kayla spat blood, her eyes burning with hatred. This isn't over. The ancient horror is coming, and it's drawn to your broadcast signal. You're leading it right to us. Before Leo could respond, a distant rumble shook the safe house. Dust rained from the ceiling. On the stream, alerts popped up from viewers worldwide, monster sightings in the city, panic in the streets, it's huge, like a shadow come to life. Leo released Kayla, stepping back. His viewer count fluctuated wildly, 3.8 million, then 3.3 million as fear spread. People were tuning out, too scared to watch. The ancient horror, hinted at since Chapter 4, was closing in. He could feel it, a primal dread seeping into his bones. His SP generation slowed, the buff's timer ticking down, 2 minutes left. We need to evacuate, Mara said, her face pale. That thing, it's feeding off the panic. Leo nodded, his mind already planning. He checked his stats, SP at 5,200 after the fight, but dropping as viewers left. He had to act fast. He faced the camera, his expression serious yet inviting. Everyone, listen. I know you're scared. I am too. But this is why we stream, to face the darkness together. I'm announcing a live event, tomorrow at dawn, I'll confront the ancient horror. We'll use our collective power to fight it. Share this, donate if you can, and let's show this apocalypse what humanity can do. His words sparked a resurgence. Viewer count stabilized at 3.5 million, SP climbing back to 5,500. But as he finished speaking, his stream overlay glitched violently. The screen flickered, replaced by static and a mocking laugh. A new message appeared, in jagged red text, asterisk hacked by Shadowcaster. Your audience is mine now, asterisk. The feed cut to a rival streamer's channel, a figure known for exploiting system glitches. Leo's heart sank. His connection severed, SP generation halted. The cliffhanger left him staring at a blank screen, the safe house in ruins, the horror approaching, and his greatest tool stolen. The screen went black. For a full 3 seconds, Leo stared at the empty monitor where his streaming interface had been moments before. The sudden silence in his makeshift studio, a converted corner of what had once been a downtown office building, felt heavier than any monster's roar. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat echoing the panic that was surely spreading through his audience right now. What the hell, he whispered, his fingers flying across the keyboard. No response. The usual overlay, the real-time viewer count, donation alerts, SP conversion rate, was gone. In its place, a single line of text glowed with malicious intent. Shadowcaster has taken control. Your signal is mine. Leo's breath caught. Shadowcaster. He knew that name. A rival streamer who'd been gaining traction by broadcasting syndicate-approved, cleansing operations, brutal, efficient takedowns of monsters that always seemed to benefit the guild's territorial claims. Leo had seen the comments on his own stream, why don't you be useful like Shadowcaster? He doesn't need viewer handouts to win. The jealousy had been palpable, but Leo had dismissed it as background noise. Now, it had become a weapon. He pushed back from the desk, the chair scraping against the concrete floor. Outside the reinforced windows, the city lay in uneasy twilight. The ancient horror was out there somewhere, a presence that made the air feel thick and electric. Kayla, his tech-savvy ally who'd helped fortify this location, was already at the secondary console, her fingers ablur. It's a deep hack, she said, her voice tight. They've piggybacked on your broadcast signal and rerouted it. Your viewers are probably seeing something else right now. How long? Leo asked, his mind racing. Without the stream, SP generation had stopped. He could feel the absence like a phantom limb, the constant hum of incoming engagement that had become his lifeline was gone. His stats, boosted by the temporary, viral momentum, buff from the admin entity, still glowed on his personal status screen, but they were static now. Frozen assets in a war that demanded liquidity. I don't know, Kayla admitted. They're using system-level protocols. This isn't just tech, it's cheating with extra steps. Leo closed his eyes, reaching for the audience investment system interface in his mind. It was still there, a ghostly framework, but the connections were severed. No new SP. No alerts. Just a hollow echo. He could almost hear the drop in engagement, the like stopping, the donations freezing, the comments section falling silent as confusion turned to abandonment. Every second offline was a hemorrhage of power. We need the system's help, he muttered, opening his eyes. If they're using system protocols, maybe there's a counter. He focused, sending a mental query to the interface. For a moment, nothing. Then, a response flickered, not in the stream, but directly in his perception. System anomaly detected, unauthorized signal interference. Countermeasures available for 500 SP. Leo almost laughed. 500 SP. The irony was bitter. To fix the hack, he needed SP. To get SP, he needed the stream back. A perfect catch, 22. But he had a reserve, the SP he'd saved from yesterday's syndicate fight, earmarked for emergency upgrades. It was 750 points, a cushion he'd been reluctant to touch. Now, it was the only way. I'm buying a countermeasure, he told Kayla, his voice grim. He initiated the transaction, feeling the SP drain from his reserve. The number dropped to 250, a painful loss. But immediately, a new option appeared. Signal purge activated. Re-establishing connection. On the monitor, the black screen flickered. The hostile message dissolved into static, and for a heart-stopping moment, Leo thought it had failed. Then, his streaming overlay snapped back into place. The viewer count reappeared, but it was a gut punch. 2.1 million. Down from 4.3 million before the hack. He'd lost half his audience in minutes. Donation alerts trickled in, slow and tentative. Comments scrolled by, filled with confusion. What was that? Some kind of glitch? I thought you got taken down. Shadowcaster's stream just went live with a special announcement. Coincidence? Leo's jaw tightened. He leaned into the microphone, forcing calm into his voice. Everyone, stay with me. We just experienced a hostile takeover attempt. But we're back. And we're not done. He paused, letting the words sink in. Whoever did this thinks they can silence us. They think engagement is a weakness. Let's show them otherwise. He launched into a brief recap, explaining the hack without revealing all his vulnerabilities. As he spoke, the viewer count began to climb, 2.3 million, 2.5 million. People were returning, drawn by the drama. But the SP generation was sluggish. The hack had broken the rhythm, and fear of another interruption kept donations low. Kayla handed him a data pad. I traced the signal. It's originating from the old broadcast tower in the industrial district. Shadowcasters probably hold up there with syndicate support. It's fortified, but not impenetrable. Leo studied the map. The industrial district was a maze of warehouses and rusting machinery, about 3 miles away. Going there meant leaving relative safety, but letting Shadowcaster continue unchecked was worse. The rival would keep chipping away at his audience, and with the ancient horror approaching, Leo couldn't afford divided attention. We're going live on location, he announced to the stream. Time to confront the source of our interference. This isn't just about my signal, it's about every one of you who believes in what we're building here. Don't let them scare you away. He geared up quickly, light armor reinforced with SP purchased durability, an energy blade at his hip, and a compact camera drone that would feed secondary angles to the stream. Kayla insisted on coming, citing her tech skills as essential. Leo didn't argue, having an ally on camera might boost engagement. The journey through the ruined streets was tense. Monsters lurked in the shadows, but Leo avoided confrontation where possible, using flash step to dart past threats. He narrated the trip, turning it into a mini-episode, Apocalypse Survival Guide, Stealth Movement. Viewers responded, likes ticking up, a few donations coming in. By the time they reached the industrial district's outskirts, his SP had inched back to 300, still a far cry from his peak, but something. The broadcast tower loomed ahead, a skeletal giant against the bruised sky. Syndicate sentries patrolled the perimeter, armored figures with glowing rifles. Leo counted 6. Too many for a direct assault, especially with low SP. "We need a distraction," Kayla whispered, crouched beside a derelict cargo container. Leo nodded, his mind working. He opened the system shop, scanning for cheap, high-impact options. There it was, decoy drone, 50 SP. A disposable holographic projector that could mimic his signal for a few minutes. He bought it, SP dropping to 250, and deployed it. The drone zipped away, broadcasting a false stream feed to a nearby warehouse. Immediately, 2 sentries broke off to investigate. Then 2 more. The remaining pair tightened their patrol, but the gap was there. Leo used flash step, closing the distance in a blur of motion. Kayla followed, her own low-level stealth skill keeping her quiet. They slipped into the tower's base through a maintenance hatch. Inside, the air was cold and smelled of ozone. Console lights blinked in the dimness. And there, at the central terminal, was Shadowcaster. The rival streamer was younger than Leo had imagined, maybe early 20s, with sharp features and a smug expression. He wore syndicate colors, a black and red jacket, and his own streaming rig was set up, showing a feed of Leo's decoy drone. When he saw Leo, he didn't look surprised. "Took you long enough," Shadowcaster said, his voice amplified for his own audience. "I was starting to think you'd given up." Leo kept his camera drone active, ensuring the confrontation was streaming live. "Why?" he asked, simple and direct. "The syndicate's offering you scraps. We could be allies in this mess." Shadowcaster laughed, a brittle sound. "Allies? You're a cheat, Leo. You don't earn your power, you beg for it. The syndicate respects strength. Real strength. They've promised me a territory of my own if I take you down. And look," he gestured to a secondary screen showing his viewer count. "I'm already at 1.8 million. Your people are jumping ship." It was true. Leo's own viewer count had dipped slightly during the approach. The drama was pulling attention both ways. But Leo saw the desperation in Shadowcaster's eyes. This wasn't just about territory, it was about validation. The rival needed to prove he was better than the cheat. "Then let's settle it," Leo said, stepping forward. "A duel. Right here, right now. Streamed for everyone to see. No syndicate interference. Just you and me." Shadowcaster's smile widened. "You're on. But let's make it interesting. Winner takes the loser's channel. All their viewers, all their SP reserves. Agreed?" A gasp went through Leo's comment section. The stakes were enormous. But Leo didn't hesitate. "Agreed." The duel began without ceremony. Shadowcaster was fast, using a syndicate-issued, plasma whip, that crackled with energy. He was a competent fighter, clearly trained, but Leo had something he didn't, adaptability fueled by real-time engagement. As they clashed, Leo narrated, turning each move into a story. "He's going for a low sweep, classic syndicate tactic. But watch this, flash step, backward, and now a feint." Viewers ate it up. Donations started flowing faster, SP climbing, 300, 350, 400. The viral momentum, buff, though fading, gave his movements an extra edge. Shadowcaster fought in silence, focused and brutal. He landed a hit, the whip grazing Leo's arm. Pain flared, but Leo channeled it into the stream. "That one stung, folks. But remember, pain is just data. And we're learning." The engagement soared. Leo's viewer count shot past 3 million, then 3.5. People were flocking to see the showdown. Shadowcaster's numbers began to drop, 2 million, 1.5. The tide was turning. Seeing it, Shadowcaster panicked. He overextended, leaving an opening. Leo didn't miss it. He activated Echo Strike, the skill he'd gained from the admin entity. His energy blade flashed, not once but twice in rapid succession, the main strike and a ghostly echo. Shadowcaster's defenses shattered. He stumbled back, his whip falling from nerveless fingers. Leo held the blade at his rival's throat. "Yield." For a long moment, Shadowcaster glared, hatred in his eyes. Then, defeat slumped his shoulders. I yield. The system registered the outcome immediately. A notification flashed for both streamers. Duel concluded. Victor, Leo. Transferring channel assets. Shadowcaster's viewer count plummeted to 0. Leo's skyrocketed, 4 million, 4.5, stabilizing at 5 million. A flood of SP poured in, 1,000 points from the transferred reserve, plus a surge from new donations. Leo's total SP jumped to 1,700. The metrics were restored, better than ever. He helped Shadowcaster up, the rivalry spent. Get out of here. The syndicate will abandon you now. The rival streamer left without a word, a broken figure. Leo turned to the camera, breathing hard. We did it. Together. This isn't just my stream, it's ours. And no one takes it from us. The comments exploded with celebration. But as Leo basked in the victory, a low rumble shook the tower. The windows vibrated. Outside, the sky darkened further, not with night, but with something else, a creeping shadow that blotted out the stars. Kayla grabbed his arm, her face pale. Leo, it's here. He looked. In the distance, moving with impossible speed, was the ancient horror. It was larger than he'd imagined, a shifting mass of darkness and jagged edges, like a storm given form. It didn't walk, it flowed, swallowing the landscape as it came. And it was heading straight for the broadcast tower. Leo raised his camera, capturing the approach. Everyone, this is it. The threat we've been preparing for. Stay with me. We're going to face it live. But as the horror drew nearer, a wave of energy pulsed from it. Invisible, insidious. It washed over Leo, over the city, over the world. And on his stream, he saw the effect immediately. Viewer count, 5 million. 4.8 million. 4.5 million. Donations slowed to a trickle. Comments grew sparse, filled not with excitement, but with despair. What's the point? We're all going to die anyway. I can't watch this. The ancient horror hadn't attacked yet. But it had done something worse. It had unleashed a wave of despair that reduced viewer engagement globally, draining the very thing Leo needed to fight it. And it was now at the tower's base, its form coalescing into something monstrous and intent. Leo stood alone, the stream still running, his SP generation faltering, and the greatest threat of the apocalypse staring right at him. The ancient horror loomed before Leo, a nightmare given form. It stood 3 stories tall, a shifting mass of obsidian flesh and writhing tentacles that seemed to drink the light from the air. Its body was studded with countless eyes, each one glowing with a sickly green luminescence that pulsed in time with the despair washing over the city. The broadcast tower where Leo had just defeated Shadowcaster groaned under the creature's presence, metal supports buckling as the horror took a step forward. The ground trembled, and cracks spiderwebbed through the concrete. Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. His overlay flickered in the corner of his vision, the numbers a cruel mockery. Viewer count, 3.2 million, down from the peak of 5 million just minutes ago. Donations, a trickle. SP reserves, 1,700, but draining fast as he activated defensive skills. The wave of despair the horror had unleashed wasn't just psychological, it was a system effect, aura of despair, reducing engagement metrics globally. He could feel it like a weight on his soul, a whisper that said nothing mattered, that fighting was pointless. Stay with me, chat. Leo shouted into his headset, his voice raw. He adjusted the camera drone hovering beside him, its lens capturing the horror in all its terrifying detail. I know it's hard. I feel it too. But if we give up now, this thing wins. Don't let it silence us. He activated, flash step, blurring to the side as a tentacle slammed down where he'd been standing. Concrete exploded, shards pelting his armored jacket. The overlay showed SP drop by 50 points. He needed to fight, but every skill cost SP, and without viewer engagement, he was burning through reserves with nothing coming in. A notification popped up, warning, SP below 1500. Low engagement detected. Skill efficiency reduced by 15%. Leo gritted his teeth. The horror's eyes fixed on him, and a beam of green energy lanced out. He dove behind a collapsed section of the tower, the heat searing his back. His health bar dipped by 10%. The chat scrolled on his overlay, but it was sluggish, filled with emojis of crying faces and messages like, I can't watch this, or, it's too much. The despair was working, turning his viewers passive. Kayla's voice crackled in his earpiece, a lifeline from the safe house where she monitored the stream. Leo, your retention rate is plummeting. You're losing viewers by the thousands. The horror's aura is affecting people through the broadcast, it's like emotional bleed-through. You need to counter it, or you'll run out of SP before you land a hit. I know. Leo hissed. He peered over the rubble. The horror was advancing, its tentacles whipping through the air, tearing gashes in reality that shimmered with dark energy. Each movement sent pulses of that despair, and Leo felt his own resolve waver. What was the point? He was just a streamer, not a hero. The thought was insidious, and he shook his head violently. No. This was his stage. His audience. He stood up, ignoring the risk, and faced the camera drone. His face was smudged with dirt and sweat, but his eyes burned with determination. He didn't shout this time, he spoke softly, intimately, as if to each viewer alone. Look at me. I'm scared. I'm so scared I can barely breathe. This thing wants us to give up. It feeds on our fear. But you know what? We've been here before. Every time I faced a monster, every time the syndicate came for me, you were there. You cheered me on. You donated your points, your energy. You made me stronger. This isn't just my fight, it's ours. And I need you now more than ever. He paused, letting his words sink in. The chat slowed, then a new message appeared, you can do it, Leo. Then another, don't give up. Hearts and fire emojis started to pop up. The viewer count stabilized at 3 million. It wasn't much, but it was something. Remember the goblin in chapter 1? Leo continued, a ghost of a smile on his lips. I ran like hell, and you laughed at me. But you also liked the clip. You made it viral. You gave me my first SP. We've come so far since then. Don't let this horror be the end of our story. Let's make this the most epic broadcast yet. Donate if you can. Like if you're watching. Share the stream. Let's show this thing what happens when an audience invests. He raised his fist, and the response was immediate. The overlay lit up. Donations flooded in, user APOCFan99 donated 100 SP, user Survivalist donated 50 SP, user Kayla donated 200 SP, message, for the tech. Like skyrocketed, the counter climbing from thousands to millions in seconds. Viewer count jumped to 3.5 million, then 4 million. The SP reserve, which had fallen to 1200, began to swell, 1500, 2000, 2500. The aura of despair seemed to recede slightly, as if pushed back by the wave of collective hope. Leo felt it, a surge of power coursing through him. The system responded, notifications flashing, engagement spike detected. SP conversion rate increased by 25%, new milestone, 5 million concurrent viewers achieved. Bonus, 500 SP granted. His SP shot to 3000 and kept rising. He grinned, a fierce, wild thing. Thank you. Now, let's put on a show. He turned back to the horror, which had paused, its eyes narrowing as if confused by the sudden shift. Leo didn't waste time. He accessed the system shop, scrolling past skills he knew, Echo Strike, Flash Step, Barrier Pulse, to a section that had always been grayed out, Ultimate Skills. Now, with over 3000 SP, it glowed with availability. He selected, Viral Nova, a skill described as, unleash the power of your audience in a devastating explosion of energy. Cost, 2500 SP, cooldown, 24 hours. Chat, this is for you. Leo yelled. He spent the 2500 SP without hesitation. The energy gathered around him, visible as shimmering gold light that coalesced from the air, drawn from the millions of viewers watching. It felt like holding a star, hot, brilliant, and overwhelming. The horror sensed the threat and lunged, tentacles shooting toward him. Leo didn't dodge. He stood his ground, arms outstretched, and released the skill. Viral Nova. The world turned white. A sphere of golden energy erupted from him, expanding in a silent wave that tore through the air. It hit the horror, and the creature screamed, a sound that was less sound and more a vibration in the soul. The tentacles blackened and crumbled to ash. The eyes burst, green ichor spraying. The obsidian flesh cracked, fissures spreading like broken glass. The wave of despair shattered, replaced by a moment of pure, exhilarating hope that Leo could feel even through the stream. The explosion faded, leaving Leo panting, his SP drained back to 500. The horror was still standing, but it was wounded, hunched over, its form flickering uncertainly. Half its mass was gone, and it bled that same green ichor onto the ground. It let out a low, guttural growl, but it didn't advance. For now, it was weakened, maybe even afraid. Leo sank to one knee, exhausted. The overlay showed viewer count at 4.8 million, donations still flowing in, SP slowly ticking up again. Kayla's voice came through, relieved. You did it, Leo. You actually heard it. But, it's not dead. Scans show it's regenerating, slowly. We bought time, but this isn't over. Before Leo could respond, a new system message flashed across his overlay, bright red and urgent, visible to all viewers. System announcement, global event triggered. Due to unprecedented engagement levels and viral content metrics, the Infinite game is initiating a new phase, audience war. Description: streamers with audience investment systems or similar cheats will now compete for dominance. Leaderboards will track viewer counts, SP acquisition, and combat performance. Rewards include exclusive skills, items, and system privileges. Penalties for low engagement, SP drain and skill locks. Phase begins in 24 hours. Prepare your broadcasts. Leo stared at the message, his breath catching. The horror seemed to sense the shift too. It let out one last hiss before turning and slithering away into the ruins, leaving a trail of ichor. The immediate threat was gone, but a new one loomed, not from monsters, but from other streamers like him, all vying for the same audience. He stood up slowly, his body aching. The camera drone hovered close, capturing his weary but determined expression. Well, chat, he said, his voice hoarse. Looks like the game just leveled up. Rest up, because tomorrow, we're not just surviving, we're competing. And we're going to win. He ended the stream, the viewer count freezing at 5 million. In the sudden silence of the ruined tower, with the distant sounds of the city and the fading echo of the horror, Leo felt the weight of what was coming. The audience war. He had rallied his viewers today, but could he keep them when others came for his throne? He looked at his SP, now at 600 and climbing, and knew the real battle was just beginning. The morning sun filtered through the cracked window of Leo's makeshift safe house, casting long shadows across the dusty floor. He sat cross-legged on a threadbare couch, his eyes fixed on the translucent blue interface hovering before him. The audience investment system displayed new information that made his stomach clench. Audience war initiated. Phase 1, 24-hour qualifiers. Objective: achieve highest engagement metrics among registered streamers. Reward: top 10% advance to elimination rounds. Penalty: bottom 50% lose 50% of current SP. Registered competitors, 1-247. Leo's fingers trembled slightly as he scrolled through the details. 247 other streamers with systems like his. The number was staggering. He'd thought his cheat was unique, a fluke of the apocalypse. Now it seemed he was just one player in a much larger game. Viewers are waking up, he murmured to himself, watching his live viewer count tick upward from its overnight low of 12,000 to 15,000 and climbing. The chat scrolled rapidly. Asterisk Leo. Saw the system announcement. You gonna crush this audience war? Asterisk. Asterisk, that horror thing's still out there. Asterisk. Asterisk, donated 100 SP for breakfast, get some good content today. Asterisk. Other streamers popping up on my feed, this is wild. Leo took a deep breath, the familiar pressure settling on his shoulders. This wasn't just survival anymore, it was competition. He stood, stretching muscles still sore from yesterday's battle with the ancient horror. Through the window, he could see the distant silhouette of the regenerating entity, a pulsing black mass on the horizon that seemed larger than before. Alright, chat, Leo said, activating his stream with a mental command. The familiar overlay appeared in his vision, showing viewer count, SP balance, currently 523 after yesterday's expenditures, and engagement metrics. Day 1 of the audience war. Let's show them what real content looks like. He stepped outside into the ruined city street. Rubble littered the pavement, and the occasional distant screech of monsters echoed between crumbling buildings. But today, something was different. Flashes of light, skill activations, popped in the distance. Figures moved on rooftops, some with camera drones hovering beside them. Looks like I'm not the only one streaming today, Leo commented, keeping his tone light for the viewers. Internally, his mind raced. How many of these competitors were hostile? The syndicate had proven that not everyone wanted to share the spotlight. A notification pinged in his system. Direct message received. From, streamer ID number 447 Nova_Blade. Message, Alliance offer. Meet at coordinates 34.0522, -118.2437. 1 hour. Bring SP for proof of worth, ***. Leo hesitated. An alliance could mean shared resources, protection, combined viewer bases. But it could also be a trap. The syndicate had tried to control him. What if this was another guild in disguise? Chat, what do you think? Leo asked, putting the decision to his viewers. Should I check out this alliance offer? The response was immediate. Donations poured in with attached messages. *50 SP, go for it. More drama. *100 SP, no trust no one. 25 SP, at least scout it out. His SP ticked up to 648. The viewers wanted content, and a potential alliance, or betrayal, was exactly that. Alright, we're going, Leo decided. But we're doing this smart. He spent 100 SP to purchase enhanced senses, temporarily, heightening his awareness of surroundings. Another 50 SP went to stealth cloak, making him nearly invisible to casual observation. As the skills activated, the world sharpened. He could hear the skittering of insects 3 blocks away, smell the ozone of someone using electricity-based skills to the north. The journey to the meeting coordinates took him through what had once been downtown Los Angeles. He moved cautiously, streaming the entire time. Notice how the monster spawns have changed, he narrated quietly. Fewer random encounters, but the ones that appear are tougher. The system is upping the difficulty for the audience war. He was right. A crimson slasher, a humanoid creature with blade-like arms, dropped from a billboard, forcing Leo into combat. He spent 75 SP to activate, flash step, dodging the initial strike, then another 50 SP for, kinetic punch, shattering one of the creature's blades. The fight lasted 2 minutes, but his viewer count jumped by 5,000. Engagement metrics showed spikes during the action sequences. That's what they want, Leo muttered to himself as he collected the monster's core. Action, danger, close calls. He was learning to read his audience's preferences in real time, adjusting his content accordingly. When he reached the meeting point, a relatively intact coffee shop with boarded windows, he paused outside. Enhanced senses picked up 3 heartbeats inside, plus the hum of recording equipment. 3 people, he whispered to his stream. All armed. Let's see what they want. He dropped the stealth and approached openly, hands visible. The door creaked open before he reached it. A woman stood in the doorway, early 20s with tactical gear modified with streaming accessories, a shoulder-mounted camera, LED lights on her pauldrons. Her system ID floated above her head, Nova_Blade, LV-18. Behind her, 2 men stood watch, their own systems displaying lower levels. Leo, she said, her voice crisp. I'm Maya. These are Ben and Carlos. You wanted to talk alliance, Leo replied, keeping his distance. His viewer count had surged to 35,000, the confrontation was pulling in numbers. Maya nodded. The audience war changes everything. Solo streamers won't survive the elimination rounds. Look. She projected her system interface publicly, showing her metrics. I have 42,000 average viewers. You have, 35,000 right now. Combined, we could break 80,000. Share audiences, coordinate content, protect each other from hostile takeovers. What's the catch? Leo asked, his eyes flicking to Ben and Carlos. They seemed tense, hands near their weapons. 50-50 split on SP earned during joint streams, Maya said. And we target other streamers together. There's a group called the Viewer Kings 3 districts over, they're racking up huge numbers by farming low-level monsters in coordinated raids. We take them down, we absorb their audience. Leo's mind worked rapidly. The offer was tempting. But something felt off. Maya's eyes kept darting to his SP display. Greed? Or just competitive nerves? Chad is saying be careful, Leo said aloud, playing up the interaction for content. They're noting your friends look jumpy. Maya's smile tightened. We're all jumpy, Leo. It's the apocalypse. But I'm offering a real partnership. The alternative is fighting alone against streamers who've already formed groups. I've counted at least 6 alliances forming since the announcement. She had a point. Leo's solo act had worked so far, but the audience war was a different beast. Still. Let me consult my audience, he said, turning slightly to address his camera drone. What do you think, everyone? Alliance with Nova_Blade? The donations poured in again, but this time they were more divided. Some viewers loved the team-up potential, others screamed about betrayal. His SP climbed to 850 as the debate raged. Suddenly, Carlos stiffened. Movement outside. Multiple contacts. Leo's enhanced senses confirmed it, at least 5 people approaching, moving with purpose. Not mine, he said quickly. Not mine either, Maya replied, her hand going to the sword at her hip. Ben, check the back. Too late. The front window exploded inward as a concussive blast tore through the coffee shop. Leo dove behind a counter, SP already draining as he activated, Barrier Dome, for 150 SP. The translucent shield shimmered around him, deflecting debris. It's the Viewer Kings. Maya shouted, already in motion. Her blade glowed with blue energy as she parried a thrown dagger. They must have tracked you here. Leo peeked over the counter. 5 streamers stood in the ruined doorway, all with elaborate streaming setups. Their leader, a man with neon green hair and a floating array of cameras, grinned wildly. Leo. Nova_Blade. Perfect, 2 birds with 1 stone. My viewers love a good ambush. His system ID flashed, Pixel_Lord, LV21. Chat, we've got company. Leo announced, shifting into performance mode. The pressure was back, but now mixed with something else, the thrill of competition. His viewer count hit 50,000. Pixel_Lord and the Viewer Kings want to steal our audience. Let's show them why that's a bad idea. He spent 200 SP on multicast, allowing him to use 2 skills simultaneously. Flash Step got him behind the counter, while Kinetic Wave blasted outward, knocking 2 of Pixel_Lord's allies off their feet. The SP expenditure hurt, down to 500, but the engagement spike was immediate. Donations flooded in as viewers cheered the counter-ambush. Maya was already engaged with Pixel_Lord, her blade clashing against his energy whip. Leo, flank left, she shouted, her own SP visibly draining as she activated skills. For a moment, Leo hesitated. This was the test, would she cover him, or use him as a distraction? But as Pixel_Lord lunged at her exposed side, Leo made his decision. He spent another 100 SP on Sonic Boom, disrupting Pixel_Lord's attack and giving Maya an opening. Her blade sliced across Pixel_Lord's shoulder, drawing first blood. Thanks, she called, genuine surprise in her voice. The battle raged for 10 minutes, a chaotic mix of skill activations, camera drones weaving through the air, and running commentary from all streamers involved. Leo's metrics were going wild, viewer count at 65,000, engagement at 92%, SP climbing back to 700 from donations. He was putting on a show, and the audience was loving it. But as Pixel_Lord finally retreated with his wounded team, Leo noticed something. Maya's allies, Ben and Carlos, hadn't joined the fight. They'd hung back, recording everything but not engaging. You okay? Maya asked, breathing heavily as she approached Leo. Fine, Leo said, eyeing her companions. Your friends didn't help much. Maya followed his gaze, her expression darkening. They're cautious. But they'll come through when it matters. The excuse sounded hollow. Leo's suspicion grew, but he kept it off his face for the stream. So about that alliance. Still on the table, Maya said quickly. We just proved we can work together. Think about it overnight. We'll meet here tomorrow morning, first day of eliminations. She extended a hand. After a moment's hesitation, Leo shook it. The contact felt cold despite the warmth of her grip. As they parted ways, Leo made his way to a relatively secure building a few blocks away. He needed to process everything. The ancient horror was still out there, regenerating. The audience war was heating up. And now he had a potential alliance that felt like a knife waiting to be turned. He ended his stream for the evening, his final viewer count at 58,000, a new record. His SP sat at 1,102 after donations from the battle. But as he reviewed the day's metrics, a private message pinged in his system. From, streamer ID number 003 Apex_streamer. Message, impressive performance today. But teaming with Nova_Blade? She's already betrayed 2 other streamers this week. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Duel me one-on-one. Winner takes all SP from loser's reserve. No audience, no cameras, just skill. Accept or be marked as coward, ***. Leo stared at the message. Apex_streamer, one of the top-ranked competitors according to the audience war leaderboards. A direct challenge, with everything on the line. Outside, the distant shape of the ancient horror pulsed once, as if sensing his turmoil. The audience war was just beginning, and already the stakes were becoming deadly. The neon glow of Leo's streaming interface cast flickering shadows across the makeshift arena, a ruined shopping mall's central atrium, its shattered glass dome allowing pale moonlight to filter through the dust-choked air. He stood on what was once a decorative fountain, now dry and cracked, his boots crunching on broken tiles. Across the expanse, 50 meters away, Apex_streamer materialized in a cascade of golden particles, his arrival broadcast live to millions. Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. The pressure was immense, not just from the duel, but from the weight of his audience. His viewer count hovered at 8.7 million, a number that made his head spin. Every like, every donation, every comment was a thread tethering him to survival. He could feel the system points, SP, trickling in, a steady stream of energy that buzzed beneath his skin like static electricity. Apex_streamer was a vision of polished arrogance. Clad in sleek, custom-forged armor that shimmered with embedded LEDs, he looked more like a corporate esports champion than an apocalypse survivor. His face, visible through a transparent visor, was all sharp angles and a smug grin. He carried a plasma rifle slung over one shoulder, its barrel humming with barely contained energy. Leo, 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 Apex's voice boomed through the mall's ruined PA system, enhanced by his own streaming tech. The washed-up streamer who got lucky. You really think you can stand against me? I've been trending for weeks. My engagement metrics are through the roof. Leo forced a grin, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls of his streaming overlay. He'd spent the last hour prepping his audience, running polls for battle strategies, offering donation incentives for specific moves. The chat scrolled rapidly on the edge of his vision. Viewer_Prime, Leo take my energy. Donated 500 SP, ***. APOCFan 42, Apex looks OP, but Leo's got heart. System Watcher, odds are 3:1 in Apex's favor according to betting pools. Luck? Leo called back, his voice amplified by his system. I prefer to call it audience investment. Let's see if your corporate sponsors can beat real human connection. He didn't wait for a reply. With a mental command, he activated, flash step, his body blurring as he darted to the left, using the crumbling storefronts as cover. The move cost 200 SP, but the chat exploded with approval, likes poured in, refilling his reserves slightly. He could see Apex's viewer count too, 9.2 million. The bastard was ahead, but Leo had something Apex lacked, authenticity. Apex responded with practiced ease. He didn't bother with cover. Instead, he raised his plasma rifle and fired a sustained beam that carved through concrete and steel. Leo rolled behind a collapsed escalator, the heat searing the air around him. Shards of molten metal sprayed, and he felt a burn across his forearm. His health bar, displayed discreetly in his overlay, dipped by 5%. First blood to me. Apex crowed. His camera drones, sleek, spherical devices, zipped around him, capturing every angle. My viewers love a clean shot. Donation surge incoming. Indeed, Leo saw Apex's SP spike visibly in the public leaderboard that hovered above the arena. The man was playing to his base, wealthy patrons who valued flashy, efficient violence. But Leo had a different strategy. He opened a quick poll. What should I do next? A. Go for a stealth attack, cost, 300 SP. B. Use environment to trap him, cost, 500 SP. C. Taunt him to waste ammo, cost, 100 SP. Within seconds, option B led with 65% of the vote. Leo grinned. His people wanted spectacle, not just speed. He focused, spending 500 SP to activate environmental manipulation, a skill he'd bought specifically for this duel. The ground beneath Apex's feet trembled, and the remnants of a structural beam groaned overhead. What the? Apex began, but it was too late. Leo had studied the mall's blueprints during his prep. With a surge of SP, he caused the beam to collapse, not directly on Apex, but to create a barrier of debris, funneling him toward a section with unstable flooring. The chat went wild. Survivalist_guru, genius. Using the arena as a weapon, ***. Donor_queen, just sent 1000 SP for that move. Apex fan_troll, cheap trick. Apex, though, was no amateur. He activated a skill of his own, phase shift, his body turning ethereal as the debris passed through him. It cost him, though. Leo saw his SP drop by 400. The man reappeared, slightly off balance, on the other side of the barrier. His smug expression had tightened into a scowl. Clever, Apex spat. But gimmicks won't save you. He switched tactics, holstering his rifle and drawing twin energy blades that crackled with blue electricity. He charged, moving with enhanced speed that rivaled Leo's flash step. The two clashed in the center of the atrium, blades meeting in a shower of sparks. Leo parried, his own weapon, a monomolecular edge sword bought with yesterday's donations, humming as it absorbed the impact. The force rattled his bones, and his health dropped another 10%. Up close, Leo could see the strain in Apex's eyes. The man was pouring SP into stat boosts, trying to overpower him. But Leo had been conserving, letting his audience guide his spending. He opened a quick donation goal, 5000 SP for a counterattack combo. The bar filled rapidly, fueled by small donations from thousands of viewers. In seconds, he had the SP. With a roar, Leo disengaged and activated Viral Nova, the ultimate skill he'd used against the ancient horror. But he didn't aim it at Apex directly. Instead, he channeled it into the ground, creating a shockwave of light and sound that disoriented the cameras and sensors. For a moment, the stream glitched, a deliberate move. In that blindness, Leo used Flash Step to circle behind Apex. The chat erupted in confusion, then awe as the feed cleared to show Leo's blade at Apex's throat. The man froze, his energy blades deactivating with a fizzle. "Check your metrics," Leo whispered, loud enough for the mics to catch. "Your viewer retention just plummeted." Mine spiked. Engagement beats raw power every time. He was right. On the leaderboard, Apex's viewer count was dropping, 7 million, 6.5 million, as people switched to Leo's more dynamic stream. His SP, once towering, was draining rapidly as his sponsors pulled out. Apex's face paled, his confidence shattering. I concede," he muttered, the words tasting like ash. The system chimed immediately. Duel concluded, winner, Leo. Transferring SP and channel assets. Leo gains, 15,000 SP plus Apex_streamers channel, 9.2 million subscribers merged. A golden light enveloped Leo, and he felt a surge of power unlike anything before. His stats skyrocketed, strength, agility, intelligence all climbing exponentially. New skills unlocked in his interface, glowing with potential. His viewer count now read 17.9 million, making him the undisputed top streamer in the audience war. The chat was a blur of celebration, but Leo barely noticed. The rush was intoxicating, a heady mix of victory and raw, unchecked power. Then, a cold, mechanical voice cut through the noise, not from his stream, but directly into his mind. Admin entity message, warning, rapid growth detected. Your ascent violates equilibrium parameters. Consequences, system instability imminent. The anomaly you've attracted is adapting. Proceed with caution, streamer. Leo staggered, the euphoria fading into dread. Before he could respond, a tremor shook the mall. Not from the duel, but from outside. Through the broken dome, he saw it, the ancient horror, that massive eldritch entity that had been haunting the city's edges. It was changing. Its form, once a shifting mass of tentacles and eyes, was now solidifying, developing a crystalline carapace that reflected the moonlight in eerie patterns. As Leo watched, a notification flashed. Ancient horror has adapted, immunity to viral nova, and light-based attacks acquired. No, Leo breathed. His ultimate skill, useless. The thing was learning from his broadcasts. But worse was to come. The horror turned its many eyes toward him, and a wave of distortion pulsed out. Not a physical attack, but something targeting the very fabric of his stream. His interface glitched violently, the viewer count flickered, the chat scrambled into gibberish, his SP display showed erratic numbers. Then, a system-wide alert blared, visible to everyone. System glitch detected, broadcast signals corrupted. All streamer interfaces experiencing interference. Source, unknown anomaly. Leo's feed cut to static for a full 3 seconds before stabilizing. When it returned, his viewer count had dropped to 12 million, and his SP was draining at an alarming rate. The horror had evolved beyond physical threats, it was now attacking the foundation of his power, his connection to his audience. He looked at Apex, who was staring in horror at his own dead interface. The man's channel was gone, absorbed, but in this moment, he was just another victim. Leo's triumph felt hollow, ashes in his mouth. He had won the duel, gained unimaginable power, but in doing so, he'd accelerated the very threat that could end them all. The admin entity's warning echoed in his skull. Consequences. The ancient horror wasn't just a monster to be fought, it was a symptom of his own success, a cancer fed by his viral growth. And now, it had learned to strike at the heart of his cheat. As the glitches continued to ripple through his system, Leo knew the next battle wouldn't be for views or SP. It would be for survival itself, and this time, his audience might not be able to save him. The system glitch wasn't just a technical failure, it felt like the world itself was unraveling. Leo stood in the ruins of the mall where he defeated Apex_streamer mere hours before, but now the victory felt hollow. His viewer count, which had peaked at 17.9 million, flickered erratically between 12 million and 5 million, the numbers dancing like dying embers. The admin entity's warning echoed in his mind, consequences for rapid growth. He hadn't understood then. Now, he was living it. Rain began to fall, not the gentle drizzle of before the apocalypse, but a corrosive acid rain that sizzled against broken concrete and melted the plastic remains of store displays. Leo activated his environmental shield, a skill he'd purchased with SP after the syndicate ambush. A shimmering blue dome enveloped him, the raindrops hissing as they evaporated against its surface. His streaming overlay, the familiar interface of the audience investment system, glitched violently. Text scrambled, numbers inverted, and for a terrifying moment, the entire display went black. "No," Leo whispered, his voice raw. "Not now." He wasn't just worried about the SP drain, though that was catastrophic enough. His reserves had dropped from the millions he'd gained from Apex to barely 500,000, and they were falling by the second. What terrified him was the connection. Ever since the ancient horror had evolved, targeting his stream directly, he'd felt a resonance. Like his broadcast signal was a tuning fork, and something vast and wrong was humming along with it. "Chat, can you hear me?" Leo said, forcing calm into his voice. He adjusted the camera drone hovering at his shoulder, its lens flickering with static. "I need you to stay with me. We've got a situation." The chat window, usually a torrent of emojis and donations, was a mess of corrupted text. Fragments scrolled by. User_7A3F, error, signal interference detected. Donation, 50 SP from Shadow_Watcher, message, Leo, it's feeding on your stream. System_alert, broadcast integrity at 43%. Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. Feeding on his stream. The idea was absurd, horrifying, and yet, it fit. The ancient horror had become immune to viral nova, his ultimate skill fueled by viewer engagement. It had evolved right after his duel with Apex, when his signal strength was at its peak. And now this system-wide glitch, corrupting broadcasts. "It's not just attacking me," Leo realized aloud, his breath fogging the inside of his shield. "It's attacking the concept of my stream. The signal itself." He needed data. With a mental command, he accessed the system shop, bypassing the glitching overlay to pull up raw logs. SP drained another 10,000 points as he did, the corruption was taxing his resources just to maintain basic functions. The logs were a nightmare of error codes, but one pattern emerged: every spike in his broadcast signal correlated with an increase in anomalous entity activity in system records. And the entity's designation wasn't some monster ID, it was listed as error_0x7b, signal-derived corruption. "Oh, God," Leo breathed. The ancient horror wasn't some random eldritch abomination drawn to his signal. It was a system error created by his broadcast. His relentless streaming, his viral growth, his cheat, it had all generated so much anomalous data that the system itself had spawned a bug, and that bug had taken physical form, evolving into the horror that now threatened the city. He stumbled back, the weight of it crushing him. His legs gave way, and he sank to his knees on the wet, broken floor. The camera drone dipped closer, its lens focusing on his face. He knew what his viewers would see: Leo, the unflappable streamer who turned apocalypse into entertainment, broken and afraid. Part of him wanted to shut it off. To end the stream, cut the signal, and maybe, just maybe, starve the error of its source. But that would mean losing everything. No SP, no powers, no way to fight the syndicate or survive the monsters. He'd be just another weak survivor in a world that ate the weak. Worse, the error might not even die, it might just become dormant, waiting for the next big broadcast to feed on. No, Leo said, louder this time. He pushed himself up, his hands trembling but his resolve hardening. I didn't come this far to quit. Chat, listen up. We have a problem, but we also have a solution. This thing is a bug in the system, and it's feeding on my stream signal. If I shut down, I lose my power, and it might not even die. But if we overload it. He paced within his shield, the acid rain painting streaks of blue light across its surface. We hit it with so much signal, so much SP, that we crash it permanently. A global donation event. One final, massive boost to burn it out from the inside. The chat, despite the corruption, began to clear slightly. Messages filtered through. User_gamer_girl, Leo's back. What's the plan? ****. Donation, 1000 SP from Apex_fan, message, for the king. User_system_nerd, theoretically possible. Signal surge could overwrite error code ****. Leo allowed himself a grim smile. His viewers were still with him. He pulled up his event planner interface, another perk from his rapid leveling. I'm setting up a global donation drive. Operation Signal Burn. We have 1 hour to prepare. I'll stream the whole thing, the setup, the fight, everything. We need to reach critical mass, at least 50 million SP in a concentrated burst. That should be enough to overwrite the error's code and delete it from the system. He worked quickly, his fingers flying over holographic controls. The event page went live, a countdown timer, a donation tracker, and a live map showing the ancient horror's location. It had settled in the city's central park, a pulsating mass of darkness that twisted the very air around it. Viewer count stabilized at 15 million and began to climb as word spread. 16 million. 17 million. The SP drain slowed, then stopped as engagement surged. He was at 600,000 SP and holding. Thank you, Leo said, genuine emotion thickening his voice. All of you. We're not just surviving, we're fixing this broken world. Now, let's get ready. I need to gear up. He spent 200,000 SP on upgrades, signal amplifier, to boost his broadcast range, error-canceling codec, to protect against further glitches, and overcharge protocol, a risky skill that would let him channel SP directly into attacks at 300% efficiency, but with a chance of system backlash. His remaining SP sat at 400,000, a pitiful amount for what was coming, but the donations were already flowing in. The tracker ticked upward, 50,000 SP. 100,000, 250,000. As he was finalizing his inventory, a private message pinged, not through the glitchy public chat, but via a secure system channel. It was from an old contact, a survivor he'd helped early on named Maya, who joined a resistance group against the syndicate. Maya, Leo, syndicate is mobilizing. They know about your event. Intel says they're planning to hijack your SP surge. Be careful, *****. Leo's blood ran cold. Of course. The syndicate had been after his cheat from the start. A global donation event, with millions of SP concentrated in one place. It was the ultimate prize. He typed a quick reply. Leo, how long? Maya, less than an hour. They're already moving. Final assault. Leo, good luck, *****. The message cut off. Leo stared at the words, his mind racing. He had to accelerate the plan. He opened his stream to full broadcast, the camera drone zooming out to show him standing tall in the ruined mall, his new gear glowing with soft blue light. Change of plans, chat, Leo announced, his voice steady despite the fear coiling in his gut. We're starting Operation Signal Burn now. The syndicate is coming to crash our party. So let's give them a show they'll never forget. Donate now, every SP counts. We're taking down this error, and anyone who gets in our way. He triggered the event. The countdown timer vanished, replaced by a live donation meter that skyrocketed, 500,000 SP. 1 million. 2 million. Viewers poured in, the count hitting 20 million, then 25 million. The world was watching. His SP reserves bloomed, 1 million. 3 million. 5 million. The power was intoxicating, a river of energy flowing into him, making his skin hum and his senses sharpen to razor edges. But as he felt the surge, he also felt the error's attention shift. In the distance, from Central Park, a wave of distortion rolled outward, visible as a shimmer in the air. Buildings warped, streets cracked, and the system glitch intensified. His overlay flickered again, but the error-canceling codec held it stable. "It knows," Leo muttered. "It knows we're coming." He took a deep breath, centering himself. This was it, the moment everything he'd built would be tested. He had the SP, he had the plan, and he had his audience. But as he stepped out of the mall ruins, into the acid rain-soaked streets leading toward Central Park, movement caught his eye on the periphery of his camera feed. Shadows detached from buildings, figures in syndicate black armor emerging from alleys and rooftops, their weapons gleaming with stolen system tech. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. At their front stood a woman he recognized from earlier encounters, Kayla, the syndicate's field commander, her face cold and sharp behind a tactical visor. She raised a hand, and her voice crackled over a hacked broadcast frequency that overlaid his stream. "Leo," Kayla said, her tone dripping with mock pity. "Did you really think we'd let you keep all that SP for yourself? Hand over the donation surge, and we might let you live. Otherwise." She gestured, and syndicate soldiers leveled rifles, their barrels humming with charged energy. Leo didn't break stride. He kept walking toward the park, toward the error, toward his destiny. The camera drone stayed locked on him, broadcasting every second to millions. He smiled, a fierce, wild thing. "Chat," he said, loud and clear. "It looks like we've got some uninvited guests. Let's show them what happens when you try to steal from us." He activated overcharge protocol, feeling the SP surge through him like lightning. The world sharpened into hyperfocus. The syndicate soldiers moved in slow motion. Kayla's smirk froze on her face. And in the distance, the ancient horror, the system error, roared, a sound that wasn't sound but a distortion of reality itself. Leo raised his hands, SP coalescing into crackling spheres of energy. "Operation Signal Burn is live," he declared. "Let's crash this bug." And as the first syndicate plasma bolt streaked toward him, and the donation meter hit 10 million SP and climbing, Leo charged into the storm. The air in Central Park crackled with tension, thick enough to taste. Leo stood at the edge of the clearing, his streaming rig humming softly on his shoulder, the holographic interface glowing with frantic activity. To his left, the syndicate forces emerged from the tree line, a dozen armored figures led by Kayla, her cold eyes fixed on him through a tactical visor. To his right, the ancient horror pulsed like a cancerous heart, a shifting mass of shadow and static that seemed to drink the light from the sky. It was a three-way standoff, and Leo's viewer count was skyrocketing. "Leo! They're coming in hot," a voice crackled in his earpiece, Maya, his tech-savvy ally monitoring the stream from a safe distance. "Donation metrics are through the roof. You've hit 50 million SP and climbing. But the syndicate's jamming signals. They're trying to cut your feed." Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. He could feel the system points flooding in, a torrent of energy that made his skin tingle. The donation event, Operation Signal Burn, had gone viral faster than he'd dared hope. On his overlay, comments scrolled in a blur, #SaveTheCity, donating my last SP, Leo, you got this. Each like, each share, each donation converted to SP, and right now, it felt like the whole world was watching. He took a deep breath, the scent of ozone and decay filling his lungs. "Keep the stream live, Maya," he whispered, his voice steady despite the fear coiling in his gut. "I'm not letting them hijack this." Kayla stepped forward, her armor gleaming under the pale moonlight. "Leo," she called, her voice amplified by a speaker. "Stand down. Hand over the SP surge, and we'll let you walk away. This error is ours to control." Leo shook his head, a wry smile touching his lips. "Sorry, Kayla. My viewers paid for this show. I can't disappoint them." He raised a hand, and the SP counter on his interface blazed, 60 million, 70 million. The numbers were climbing so fast they blurred. He could feel the power building, a pressure in his chest that begged for release. Behind him, the ancient horror let out a low groan, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the ground. It was reacting to the SP surge, drawn to the energy like a moth to flame. Tendrils of shadow lashed out, slicing through trees and sending syndicate soldiers scrambling. One wasn't fast enough, the shadow wrapped around his leg, and he screamed as his armor crumpled like paper. The horror was feeding on the chaos, growing larger, more defined. Leo could see glimpses of something within it, a twisted mockery of human forms, eyes that blinked with static. Now or never, he muttered to himself. He focused on his interface, navigating to the skill tree. With this much SP, options he'd never dreamed of were unlocking. He bypassed the standard upgrades, stats, gear, temporary buffs, and went straight for the pinnacle, audience avatar. The description glowed with promise, temporary god form fueled by viewer engagement. Duration scales with SP expenditure. Warning, excessive use may trigger system anomalies. The cost was astronomical, 100 million SP. His current tally was 85 million and rising, but the syndicate was moving. Kayla barked orders, and her soldiers fanned out, energy rifles humming to life. They opened fire, bolts of plasma streaking toward him. Leo activated, flash step, his body blurring as he dodged, the skill draining SP with each use. He couldn't keep this up forever. Viewers, I need you now, he shouted into his mic, his voice broadcast to millions. This is it, the final push. Donate if you can, share the stream, keep those likes coming. We're at 90 million SP. Let's hit 100 and end this. The response was instantaneous. On his overlay, donation alerts exploded, 10,000 SP from a user in Tokyo, 50,000 from a group in Berlin, a massive 500,000 from an anonymous donor labeled, Hope for Humanity. The SP counter jumped, 95 million, 98 million. Leo felt a surge of gratitude, mixed with the crushing weight of responsibility. These people were betting everything on him. Kayla lunged, her armor enhancing her speed. She swung a vibroblade, and Leo parried with his own weapon, a monomolecular edge he'd bought with SP earlier. The clash sent sparks flying. You're a fool, Leo, she snarled, her face inches from his. This power should be ours to wield, not wasted on some viral stunt. It's not wasted if it saves lives, Leo shot back, shoving her away. He glanced at the horror, it was advancing, its shadowy form now towering over the park. It emitted a wave of despair, a psychic assault that made his vision swim. On his interface, he saw viewer engagement dip slightly, hearts and likes slowing. Fear was spreading. He couldn't afford to wait. The SP hit 100 million. Maya, lock it in, he yelled. Activating, audience avatar. Maya's voice was tense with excitement. Leo felt the change immediately. It started as a warmth in his core, then spread outward in a rush of light. His body glowed, suffused with golden energy that crackled like electricity. His streaming rig dissolved into the light, becoming part of him. He grew taller, his form shifting, not into a monster, but into something sleek and powerful, humanoid but radiant. Holographic wings of data sprouted from his back, flickering with viewer comments and donation alerts. His eyes became pools of shimmering SP, and he could feel every viewer's presence, a chorus of voices in his mind. This was the audience avatar, a manifestation of collective hope. Wow, he breathed, his voice echoing with multiple tones. He flexed a hand, and energy arced from his fingertips. The syndicate soldiers froze, staring in awe and terror. Even Kayla took a step back, her blade lowering slightly. The ancient horror didn't hesitate. It charged, a tidal wave of shadow and static, its form shifting into jagged claws. Leo met it head-on. He didn't need skills now, his very movements were powered by SP. He punched, and a shockwave of golden light tore through the shadow, carving a path of clarity. The horror recoiled, screeching, a sound that shattered windows in nearby buildings. It's working. Maya cheered over the comms. Viewer engagement is peaking. You're at 120 million SP and holding. But the horror was adapting. It split into multiple tendrils, each attacking from a different angle. Leo spun, his wings shedding data streams that solidified into barriers, blocking the assaults. He could feel the SP draining, 10 million per minute. He had maybe 10 minutes at this rate. He had to end this fast. Kayla saw her opening. While Leo was distracted, she signaled her soldiers. They redirected their fire, not at Leo, but at the horror. Plasma bolts peppered its form, causing it to flinch. We'll weaken it for you, Leo. Kayla shouted, a grudging respect in her voice. But the SP is still ours when this is over. Leo didn't have time to argue. He focused, drawing on the viewer connection. In his mind, he could see them, a global network of people, their fears, their hopes. He channeled that energy, shaping it into a single, devastating attack. Viral Nova, he intoned, the skill enhanced by his avatar form. A sphere of condensed SP formed in his hands, swelling with light. He hurled it at the horror. It struck the center of the mass, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, light erupted, a silent explosion that washed over the park, bleaching color from the world. The horror screamed, its form unraveling like corrupted data. Shadows dissolved into motes of light, static fading to silence. When the light faded, the horror was gone, leaving only a scorched patch of earth. Leo dropped to his knees, the avatar form dissipating in a shower of sparks. He was back to his normal self, exhausted, drenched in sweat. The SP counter plummeted, he'd used nearly all of it. But the park was quiet. The threat was over. Cheers erupted from the syndicate soldiers, and even Kayla offered a curt nod. On his interface, viewer comments flooded in, "We did it, Leo, you legend, city saved." The donation event had worked. Then, the blue screens flashed. Not just for Leo, but for everyone. A system announcement echoed across the city, the voice neutral and omnipresent. Error purged. Stability restored. Deeper system layers unlocked, the infinite game expands. New threats, new rewards. Prepare for Phase 2. Before Leo could process it, a private message popped up on his interface, glowing with an eerie, admin-level authority. It was from the admin entity, the same one that had contacted him before. The text read, "Proven entertaining. Offer, become system moderator. Oversee streamers, enforce rules, gain unlimited SP, cost, freedom. You serve the system. Accept?" Leo stared at the message, his breath catching. Unlimited SP, power beyond imagining. But to serve the system, to give up his autonomy? He thought of his viewers, of Maya, of the city he'd just saved. He was about to reply when Kayla approached, her expression unreadable. "Looks like you've got bigger problems now," she said, gesturing to the message. "The syndicate will back off, for now. But think carefully, Leo. Power always comes with a price." She turned and led her soldiers away, melting into the shadows. Leo was alone in a ruined park, the weight of the offer pressing down on him. In the distance, sirens wailed as survivors emerged, drawn by the light. His stream was still live, viewers waiting for his next move. He closed the message for now, saving it. He had a choice to make, and the world was watching. The silence that followed the admin entity's offer was deafening. Leo stood in the ruined heart of Central Park, the last embers of his audience avatar form flickering around him like dying stars. The eldritch horror was gone, reduced to shimmering data fragments that dissolved into the system's blue haze, but its absence left a vacuum more profound than any monster's roar. His stream overlay still floated before his eyes, the viewer count holding steady at over 50 million worldwide, chats scrolling too fast to read, donation notifications blinking like frantic fireflies. He took a ragged breath, the scent of ozone and burnt earth filling his lungs. Around him, the syndicate forces were regrouping, a dozen armored figures with weapons lowered, their leader, a woman named Kayla with cybernetic eyes, watching him warily. They'd fought alongside him in the end, not out of loyalty, but survival. The park was a wasteland of shattered trees and cracked earth, the sky above still tinged with the unnatural violet of the system's interface. "Leo." Kayla's voice crackled over a comms channel he'd reluctantly opened. "Your stream's still live. What's your move?" He didn't answer immediately. His mind was racing, the admin entity's message burning in his vision. Offer, system moderator role. Rewards, unlimited SP access, admin privileges, immunity to system penalties. Cost, relinquish personal autonomy, serve the system's directives, stream content regulated by admin oversight. Accept? Y/N****. The words were cold, clinical. No emotion, just transaction. Leo's fingers trembled, not from exhaustion, though his body ached from channeling the audience avatar, but from the weight of the choice. He glanced at his SP counter, 12,347,201 remaining from the global donation surge. Enough to buy cities, to reshape landscapes, to become a god among men. But the moderator role promised more. Unlimited SP. The power to change the world without begging for likes. But at what price, he thought, his streamer's instincts screaming. Regulated content. Serving directives. That's not streaming, that's being a puppet. He remembered his first viral clip, the goblin in his apartment, the panic, the shaky camera work that made viewers feel his fear. That raw, unfiltered reality was what built his channel. What saved him? If he accepted, would he ever be able to show that again? Or would every broadcast become sanitized, approved, stripped of its soul? Leo, talk to us, Kayla pressed, stepping closer. Her armor was scarred from the horror's attacks, one lens cracked. The admin entity doesn't make offers lightly. My guild's intel suggests moderators become extensions of the system. Tools. But the power. I know, Leo interrupted, his voice hoarse. He turned to face her, the camera drone hovering at his shoulder capturing every nuance. I've spent weeks grinding metrics, turning survival into content. This deal would make it easy. No more worrying about viewer retention, no more scrambling for donations. He paused, looking past her to the chat scrolling on his overlay. Messages flooded in. Viewer_prime, take the deal Leo. Unlimited power, ***. Survivor_gal, don't do it. They'll control you, ***. Donation from Hopebringer, 500,000 SP, whatever you choose, we're with you. The support was overwhelming, but it was also a reminder, his power came from them. From their engagement, their trust. If he became a moderator, would that connection remain? Or would he become just another system function, distant and untouchable? Kayla studied him, her cybernetic eyes whirring softly. The syndicate wanted to control your stream once. We saw it as a cheat to exploit. But after today. She gestured to the devastation. You're more than that. You're a symbol. If you take this deal, you become part of the system that's killing us. If you refuse, you stay human. Flawed. Vulnerable. Leo nodded slowly. His thoughts drifted to the early days, meeting other survivors who distrusted his cheat, the rival streamer duels, the constant pressure to perform. It was exhausting, terrifying, but it was real. And it was his. He made his decision. With a deep breath, he focused on the admin entity's prompt. No, he said aloud, and mentally selected N. The message flickered, then dissolved. A new notification appeared. Offer declined. Note, your autonomy is preserved. Future interactions with the system will remain subject to standard engagement metrics, ***. Admin entity, interesting choice, streamer. The game continues, ***. A wave of relief washed over him, mixed with a pang of regret for the power he'd just turned down. But it felt right. He was Leo, the streamer who turned the apocalypse into a show, not some system lackey. Good call, Kayla said, a hint of respect in her voice. Now what? You've got enough SP to disappear, live like a king. Leo smiled, a genuine one for the first time in hours. He turned fully to the camera drone, addressing his viewers directly. You heard her. I could bail, buy a fortress, ride this out in comfort. But that's not why you're here, is it? He raised a hand, his interface glowing. We just saved a city. We beat an ancient horror. But the system's still here, and it's getting deeper. I've been thinking, my SP came from all of you. From every like, every donation, every share. It's not just my power. It's ours. He navigated to the system shop, bypassing the flashy skills and gear. Instead, he found a hidden tab he'd noticed during the audience avatar transformation, ***, global boosts ***. It was expensive, ludicrously so, but his remaining SP was more than enough. Item, Humanity Uplift Package. Cost, 10 million SP. Effect, grants a permanent plus 5% stat increase to all human survivors globally, unlocks basic system literacy tutorials for new integrations, reduces monster spawn rates in safe zones by 15% for 1 month. Warning, this is a one-time, irreversible expenditure. Confirm, ***. Leo didn't hesitate. This is for everyone, he said to the stream, and confirmed the purchase. The SP counter plummeted, leaving him with just over 2 million. But across the world, blue screens flashed for every survivor. Status screens updated, showing the stat boost. In the park, Kayla gasped as her armor's display lit up with the changes. Leo, you just spent 10 million SP on a global buff. Yeah, he said, his voice steady. We're in this together. If I'm going to be a legend, let's make it one that lifts others up, not just myself. The chat exploded. Donations poured in, not for him to spend, but as tributes. His viewer count surged past 60 million. Messages of gratitude, hope, and renewed commitment flooded the feed. He was no longer just a streamer, he was a beacon. Over the next hour, he organized the cleanup. With Kayla's help, they used his remaining SP to deploy repair drones to the city's infrastructure, funded medical supplies for survivors, and established a communication network for other streamers to coordinate. His channel, now renamed Apocalypse Beacon, became a hub for information and solidarity. As dusk fell, the park began to feel less like a battlefield and more like a gathering place. Survivors trickled in, drawn by his stream, offering thanks or just wanting to be near the man who'd faced down a god. Leo streamed it all, the hugs, the tears, the shared stories. It was raw, emotional, and utterly compelling. But beneath the hope, a tension lingered. The system's earlier announcement about deeper layers hung in the air. And as Leo sat on a fallen log, sipping water from a canteen, Kayla approached again. We're picking up anomalies, she said quietly, her eyes scanning data on her wrist display. Monster spawn patterns are shifting. New dungeons appearing in zones we thought were cleared. It's like, the system's recalibrating. Leo nodded, feeling it in his bones. The admin entity's game continues message wasn't just a throwaway line. Something was coming. He was about to reply when his overlay flashed red. A system message, not from the admin, but a global broadcast. System announcement. Infinite game expansion, Phase 2 initiated. New features, guild warfare enabled, territory control systems unlocked, interdimensional portals detected. Warning, increased threat levels detected. Prepare for escalation, ***. The message hung in the air, visible to every survivor. In the park, murmurs turned to shouts of alarm. Leo's viewer count spiked again, but this time, the comments were filled with fear. Viewer_alpha, Phase 2. What does that mean, ***. Survivor_max, portals. Are we getting invaded again, ***. Leo stood, his fatigue forgotten. He looked at Kayla, then at the camera. Well, he said, a grim smile touching his lips. Looks like the show's not over. Phase 2, huh? Let's see what ratings that brings. He activated his stream's title update, typing, live, navigating Phase 2, the apocalypse just got real. As he prepared to address his audience, to rally them once more, he felt a familiar thrill, the pressure of performance, the weight of expectation, the freedom to choose his own path. He was Leo, the streamer who refused godhood for authenticity. And whatever came next, he'd face it on his terms, with his viewers by his side. The camera drone zoomed in, capturing the determination in his eyes, the ruined park behind him, and the first flicker of strange, alien lights on the horizon, the promised portals, glowing with ominous energy. His stream was live, his autonomy intact, and a new chapter of the infinite game was beginning.